evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I almost, no joke. I'm in the headspace right now. I almost defaulted back to some LAGTV shit. I almost said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is NovaWar." I almost went full blown 2011. But we're back. It's Technical Alpha. It is Thursday, July the 12th. And can summer slow the fuck down for just like a hot second? Because I could have sworn I just looked outside the other day and it was still June. And now we're halfway through July. And I'm a little salty about that situation. You guys aren't hearing me? Oh, Jeff and Panic aren't hearing me. Okay. Give me a hot second. Why does this not surprise me? One sec.
Can you hear me, Jeff?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. I just can't hear Adam.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go. Thank God that was a quick fix. My body was not ready to go through some sort of crazy fix. But yeah, I was saying, you guys obviously didn't hear me. I said I almost defaulted into some LAGTV shit when I first started. I said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen." I almost dumped into "This is NovaWar." I was fucking slid right back into that. I was, whoa. Shivers and shit. The demons coming up on me. PTSD. But yeah, it's another Technical Alpha. And this might be the second, not first, because we had one where we winged, Jeff and I winged the entire podcast. This is the closest to winging a podcast we've had in a hot minute. I horribly misjudged how long it was going to take me to finalize setting up my office, because Joel and I finally got to like mount my speakers and my lights and all that stuff. And so I was setting up my consoles and things that haven't been done yet. But before I did that, I was like, oh, it's only going to take me like 2 hours to finish it up. And so I got stuck in a meme video loop on YouTube for like a good solid, 2 hours of my afternoon. I was watching like Penn and Teller Fool Us or whatever the hell that show's called. I can't remember, whatever. I watched like one video and I was like, man, that guy just blew my mind. And then I watched like 90. So it kind of
what is your life?
Chewed up my afternoon. Well, I got back from the chiropractor, and I did a couple things around the house, and then I just sat down and ate lunch, and then I got while I was eating, I was watching these videos, and I got sucked into a horrible YouTube portal that
look, all right. I go to work. I wake up. I go to work. I sit at my desk. I do work, and I watch meme videos at work. Okay.
I can't watch meme videos while we're on this podcast, though, is the problem. How did you manage to
bet? I'm going to watch meme videos right now.
I'm not saying, I shouldn't have said you can't. It's more like, it would be more difficult for me to pull it off. I got to move your camera down for some reason. What happened there? Okay, while I do that, before I do that, let's start the first topic so that we can have you guys talking while I'm fixing the stuff that's happening on screen. Or before we even do the first topic, Mr. Black, welcome back. You're alive. You survived You survived another trip to Vegas.
I'm paying the price now, though, so I'm sick, getting sick now. I'm sneezing, throat sore, and
you caught the airplane AIDS.
That's what it is. It's definitely from the airplane.
The classic airplane AIDS is the worst. Did you hear anyone on the plane? That's even worse, because then and you have to come to terms with the fact you're like, I'm on board, somebody on this plane's sick, and now my ass is guaranteed.
And they cycle this air like 40 times an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I'm going to die.
I gotta do this. Not very much. Yeah. Well, that's other than that, and of course, abiding by the rules of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Was it a good time?
Yeah, it was fun. Mr. Miyagi was there. Scream was there. Make It Wayne was there. One of Scream's buddies was there. So it was a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah, came home with some money this time. I mean, I didn't come home up, but I came home with some money. I went with like $2,000, and I came home with like $1,300. So really wasn't all that bad, and I paid $400 and something for UFC tickets. So I mean, it really.
How much of that was thanks to Francis Ngannou pretending to know how to fight in the ring?
Yeah, that 375 of it actually.
That was one of the most painful fights I've ever watched in my entire life. All I could think of was this has to be a setup, because that was like a last minute put together, right? Because the original like welterweight or whatever sounded like he got hit by a car.
No. It was that fight was always set up.
Was it? I thought it wasn't on this card until the guy dropped out because he's had like a mad concussion or something.
No. This is like that was complete. That was Ortega and Max Holloway.
Yeah.
It's totally different weight class. I mean, the Francis Ngannou and Derek.
I thought
Lewis
they just swapped that in because they needed a co-main event.
No.
So that was always there.
Yeah, it was the third fight. It wasn't supposed to be the co-main.
Oh,
they just bumped it up to co-main because the other fight didn't happen, and they didn't have a replacement.
All right, I got you. All right, well that takes away my thought process, because my thought process was originally, if this was just thrown in last minute for this backup, and they want one or both of, and more likely Ngannou, to be able to fight again really soon, then they can't afford to have two dudes beat each other up. Because it was funny at the first bell to hear, at the end of the first round, to hear the other guy was Derek something.
Derek Lewis.
He was like, my back, telling his corner, my back.
His back is fucked. Like,
which he's had problems, in the past. And so when I heard that, I was like, all right, that's shit. And it was just funny. His corner was like, suck it the fuck up. It's time to go fight. And Derek was like, And he went out there and he tried, but he definitely couldn't.
Yeah, his back was blown. It got to the point where he couldn't even sit down in his corner. He had to like stay standing.
Yeah, exactly. But Ngannou literally threw almost nothing.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. I mean, Francis got his ass whooped by Miocic the last fight, and he looked out of shape in that fight. And then this fight, he looked like he was in the most incredible shape ever. I was like, oh fuck.
I was expecting some crazy shit.
I put $100 on Lewis. I'm like, you know what? It's dumb money. Well, if he wins, I'm gonna get like 3 point something to 1. And Francis just like, he was scared out there. Like, he was scared to throw. He was scared to maybe get gassed. I don't know what his thing was, but he was fighting some sort of inner demon. But he basically, it was weird, man. Herb Dean stopped him at one point, like told him, you guys need to fight. The whole crowd, dude, it was amazing. I got videos on my iPhone I got to show you. But our section started the wave.
Yeah.
And the whole crowd, there were 17,000 people sold out. And the wave just went around in circles like 5 times. And it sounded like, and even Derek Lewis said it in an interview, I think it was today or yesterday, said it sounded like there was surround sound happening. Because it was like, you hear like a cheer, like, ah, and it was like, and then everybody in the audience put up their cell phones and put the light on, and it looked like a fucking like Michael Jackson concert after he was singing like Earth Song.
Everyone's waving.
Everybody was just like, it was, dude, it looked amazing. The crowd made that fight. Like, it was, people were yelling profanity and just crazy. It was amazing. It was amazing. Awesome. So it was a good time.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, so you survived. You got home. Aside from the airplane aids, Panic, how are you doing?
I realized it was Thursday today at about 7:15. It's been a week. We've had a lot of interesting topics happen that we'll be probably also discussing on the podcast, much to my chagrin. Unfortunately, we can't release the podcast notes, which Adam has seen and commented on.
I mean, technically speaking,
but y'all are in for a show. We could.
I could just pull these down.
I don't know. I just show up and
I'm covering up Jeff's face right now. So Jeff, if you want to just get naked real quick, you got a hot second.
All right.
You can see right here, we're going to talk about the ArenaNet firings, and then Panic loses his mind about the fact that he just spent 40 minutes writing a scathing letter to Forbes about the trash article they wrote. He said, I want some happy sunshine, motherfucker. And I responded with, I'll smile when I shit on her. So there you go. That's
in my defense, I started with a please God no.
Which is fair. That's perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. But yeah, that was quite a, oh God, I see. I'm covering up. This whole overlay is so fucked right now. I'll fix it up. But we'll be covering that because it is without question
relevant, the
hottest topic of the week for gaming for sure, unfortunately. But before we get to that point, let's slow ball, a little softball, underhand pitch, T-ball even. We've got Octopath Traveler coming out tomorrow. It's already getting reviewed because the embargo is
That's
lifted.
tomorrow?
It is tomorrow. Yes, like I said,
shit, I gotta order that.
if the summer could just slow the fuck right down, it would be really nice.
God, I didn't think that was like for another 2 weeks or something. I was like, I got time.
Yeah, you wish. That's tomorrow. That's why I finished Zelda this week. I popped it on to try and get it done so that I could move on.
That is like the game I've been waiting for the Switch for a while.
And the good news is, despite the fact that I always say the early reviews are not something that you should pay too close attention to, the early reviews are quite good in general for it. I've seen as high as like 9.3. So yeah, good stuff. Jeff, you're gonna pick that up as well at some point. You're probably not a day one purchase, but you're gonna pick it up at some point.
Yeah, I'll pick it up. I don't know. I might pick it up tomorrow. I kind of need a break from Realm anyway, so I might pick it up tomorrow.
They did the these guys for viewers who don't know, this these guys did like Bravely Default and Bravely Second on the 3DS.
Yes,
they're under Square Enix, but they've pretty much made like the most Final Fantasy game that wasn't named Final Fantasy
in a very long time.
Yeah, for the old school games. So like everyone was kind of hoping that, and we talked about this in the past on the podcast, but everyone was kind of hoping that we would get like a Bravely something on the Switch because it seemed like a good platform for it. And we're not getting anything in that line, but we're getting Octopath Traveler, which apparently looks really cool for like the retro RPG vibe. If you like the SNES stuff,
all I needed was, after I saw it in E3 E3 I think 2 years ago, when I saw the visuals, is I thought to myself, as long as the game can even marginally live up to the visuals, I'm gonna be a happy camper because it just looks so good.
Like, issues with some of like the way they did the art and the way they kind of did the sprite work in the Unreal Engine with like some weird jaggies and like outlining and stuff, but they said it doesn't really take away too much, but there will be times where you kind of notice it in a weird way. But I guess that's kind of to be expected when you try to like push the art envelope.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fair. But otherwise, yeah, no, so that's gonna be tomorrow, which will hopefully I'll be able to hop on that and give her a rip tomorrow right off the bat. I'm just gonna buy it on the store and hope it doesn't take forever to download because Nintendo's...
I'm gonna go to EB and buy the game.
That's also probably not a bad... Didn't you
have problems with that, man?
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna charge me an extra $10.
The Switch store's been pretty good for me, at least in the States. I actually only own like 2 cartridges. Everything else I bought on the Switch, so I don't think you'll have too much of a bad time.
Yeah, I'll probably. I should probably still.
Anyway,
so yeah. For you, that makes sense, Jeff.
Yeah, I got all my games.
I'm just gonna see if Amazon can deliver this to me tomorrow.
Outside of that, we also had Darksiders 3 had a surprise announcement for its release date here a couple days ago. And,
when is it?
It is in the fall sometime. And I don't want to conflate it with other ones in the fall, so let's just make sure that we get this. November 27th, I thought so. I was going to say November like 17th, but it's November 27th. And on top of that, they've got a slew of versions of the game. They're following the Ubisoft model of put everything in there forever. And
who's doing who's the publisher behind them now? Because I know they used to be THQ, but they died.
Well, Gunfire Games is what.
They're developing it. Oh, it is still. Part of THQ is alive.
Yes, yeah,
still THQ.
Yeah.
Right.
So they got the standard. They have a standard collector's edition, which will run $149 and come with the game, a steelbook case, an art book, the soundtrack, cosmetic DLC, and an 11-inch Fury statue. And Fury is the main character of this one. We had War. We had what was the second game? War was the first game. Second game was something. Anyway, we're on to Fury now, and she's a chick, and she's all the whips and chains and angry, as you would imagine with the name Fury, the god of fury essentially. And then there's a even further up the ladder beyond that. So if one statue isn't enough for you, and you're thinking to yourself, it's nice to have one, but I just want to fill an entire bookshelf with Darksiders related memorabilia, they have a collection for you. It's called the Apocalypse Edition, and it's going to run you $399 US. This premium edition will come with 3 extra 11-inch statues featuring Death. Oh yeah, the second game was Death. So Death, War, and Vulgrim. And Vulgrim was another main character from the game, not one that you played, but a main NPC. Vulgrim the Shopkeeper, as well as the 4 Horseman Amulet and a 30-inch by 40-inch wall scroll. And the Apocalypse Edition also comes with the standard Collector's Edition items. So you get 4 statues, everything that came with the standard Collector's Edition, the 30 by 40 wall scroll, and I don't know, maybe they make you dinner for like a week or some shit.
Gotta really love Dark Souls for that one. Holy shit. Where are you even gonna put all that stuff?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're thinking to yourself, I could really fill an entire like bookshelf with Darksiders material, then they have a collection for you, and that's what it is. I took a look at the statues. They don't look that bad. They don't look amazing, but they don't look that bad. But you know, you get what you pay for. If you're getting all of that for $400, and you think like really good statues are going to run you between $200 and $300 on a good day to begin with, having 4 for less than $100 a piece is going to only get you so far. But they don't look bad, and I don't know who's going to take them up on that offer, but it's there anyway for those who want it. I liked Darksiders quite a bit. I played.
Oh, I love the games. The games
I
were
played
really
1
well
and
done.
2. I thought they're really well done. They had when THQ was salvaged and they were redoing some of their old games or updating it to give
War Master
incentivize.
Editions.
Yeah, the War Master Edition's the 4K, the whole 9 yards. The games look great. They play great.
They're really good action combat games.
It's if you liked core Zelda in terms of how the game plays out. So dungeons and light puzzling and then action combat, but obviously far more.
This is before like all the Arkham stuff came. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like a pure style combat, which I really liked about it.
Yeah, and it all plays really well. And I would recommend it to anyone. I'm sure some people picked up the games when it was on sale. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely worth picking up.
For sure. So yeah, there you go. Darksiders 3. Jeff, did you ever play any of the Darksiders?
No.
No. If you get bored one day, it's not a bad pickup. You probably, I know you don't like Zelda, but if you painted it the way that this game does, you probably wouldn't hate it too much. It's pretty good. The action is pretty good. You do feel like a certified badass a lot of the time when you're playing the games, which is nice. Other than that, what other softballs do we have here? Panic threw out the Culling 2 launches, which apparently redefines launch failures. I don't know anything about this. I haven't read anything about it, so I'm going to hand this over to Panic to tell me why. Why is it that it is redefining launch failures? Because we've had some pretty spectacular launch failures, so I need to know.
All right, so the Culling 1 came out in 2016 before Battle Royale games really were a thing. It was hailed as a 16-person Hunger Games style game with, shooting and pretty actually well done like melee combat. Like it kind of made a niche on Twitch, and it did pretty well for people because it was like a small scale Battle Royale. And it has some players today, it peaked at around 12,000, 13,000 concurrents on Steam, at its peak, and it did fairly well. Then they announced the Culling 2, which actually apparently came out a couple of days ago, which, one, no one really knew about, and 2, they pretty much cashed in on the whole Battle Royale thing, so they were doing like a 50-person scale-up of their mechanics, and it's doing so well that I'm going to pull up the number of concurrent players right now for the Culling, and we're going to we're gonna enjoy this number. As of the 24-hour peak from yesterday to today, there are 7 players with an all-time peak of 249 people.
Jeez, sounds like my stream.
As of 1 hour ago, there is 1 person playing the game.
Whoa.
Profits.
Whoa. Hold on.
Dirty profits.
Did you just say there were 7 people, and then there was at one point today One person.
No,
playing
as of
this
an
game.
hour ago, there's only one person playing.
A single person. That could have been a dev, for God's sake. The 7 people could have been devs.
Now you're telling me I might have overplayed the redefining launch failures, but do you kind of get where I'm coming from on this one?
So, is everyone just playing the Culling 1? I'm confused. I've never seen a game launch and only have one person fucking play. That's like...
I'm pretty sure if I released my RPG, we'd have more than one person play that game.
Yes.
Now, bro, the Culling 1 as of 18 minutes ago, it's not doing so hot either, but for a 16-person game having 12 people, not so bad. It has a peak of 21 people for the past 24 hours.
Jesus.
So what you're telling me is they probably shouldn't have tried to create a sequel.
Yeah, like again, like critically, it caught on and people really liked it, but it's like Evolve or those. It's like Evolve or those. It's like Evolve in those other games where people are like, "This game is fucking awesome. I'm gonna play this full time," and then they don't play it after like the first couple of days, and they never see it again.
That's actually one of the most depressing things I think I've heard in a while.
Yeah, the Culling had an all-time peak of like almost 13,000 people simultaneously playing it, which
Well, the Culling did have like a short stint on Twitch at being relatively popular, and so I'm going to assume there's a pretty big, correlation between when it was doing well on Twitch and when it hit 13,000 people.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning.
My question is, was the one person playing it streaming?
The devs did give out codes, and I saw a bunch of people tweeting out like, "Yo, guys, I'm sorry, I can't play this game, even though you gave me the code. I don't want to bash it, but
you know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for the Culling 3. I'm sure that's going to be great. I'm sure it's already in production.
The Culling 3.
So can we deem this a launch failure that has redefined failing launches?
I don't even know if it's considered a launch failure. I just think it's just a fail. Like the game just failed.
It exploded on the launch pad.
I think launch failures. I think like a game that you can't even download, or like you can't get in, or it's bricked, or like
like the games that use like or they use the excuse, they know, or they should know, that when they release this game, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And then they release the game and the servers are dead for like 3 fucking months. And they're like, we just never expected that there would be this many people that would play our game. You're like, motherfucker, you're talking about like Battlefield or something. Like it's some game that 10, 15 million people are going to try and blow up your servers. And they're like, no, we just never expected that it would happen. And then you're like, all right, no, that's not an excuse anymore.
Either way, that sucks. Sour.
The site just said the Culling 2 player count drops to 2 people just days after launch.
God,
it isn't shaping up to be the next Battle Royale hit.
That just hurt my soul. Okay.
Somebody got fired.
I'm thinking the entire dev team.
Boys, we're betting it all on this game. We're going all in.
I kind of feel bad because imagine that you had an entire dev team that was getting paid to like make this game, and it releases, and this is what happens. It's depressing.
All reviews very negative.
Oh my god. All right. Do we have any other slow pitches here? We're gonna save the real gnarly shit. Oh, here we go. Epic Games throwing money at asset makers. All right, this is another Panic special. I'm going to assume this is Fortnite thinking we need to just have like the map change once every 3 months.
Oh
and
no, this is related to Fortnite, but
okay.
So Epic, obviously everyone knows they do Unreal Engine, and they have like the whole big thing where they license the Unreal Engine out to developers. Recently, we've been seeing companies like Bethesda and all these others trying to monetize modding or bring people in from the outside to develop content for the engine or for things that other people can use. For Unreal and Epic, that makes a lot more sense because you have the Unreal Engine, and then they have the store where you can buy models and you can, buy terrain. You can buy all these things that you would put into your games that you would make on the engine. So Epic was monetizing it like everyone else, the 70-30 split between the creator and Epic. They came out and said straight up, Fortnite is doing so well that we're just going to change the split to 88-12.
What?
And this is the crazy part. They said, we're just going to go back and retroactively pay everyone for the past 4 years, any difference in rate.
So not
These
only
guys got so much money. They actually are just they're
looking for places to spend it needlessly.
yeah.
It's not even needlessly. Like effectively, they had a lot of content creators. Like there were content creators who did stuff for Paragon and all the other asset engine stuff.
Well, sure.
So it's great
But when
for
you
them
have a
'cause they're
board
like,
meeting and somebody
Yeah.
suggests, it's one thing to suggest we're doing so well
"You just
that
give
we're
money
going to
back."
change our split to 88-12, and everyone pats Bob on the back and they all go get some
Yeah,
donuts.
you know what? Fuck our shareholders. Yeah, let's give that money out.
And then it's another thing entirely for Bob to stand up at the boardroom meeting and say, but wait, there's more. We're also going to retroactively pay everyone with that exact same new split all the way back to God knows when. And then everyone at the boardroom apparently still patted Bob on the back because they didn't give a fuck and they were going to go buy some expensive donuts.
They
Well,
pretty much
everybody
said-
at that board is filthy rich from Fortnite. So at this
Yeah,
point,
true.
they're like, you know what? Give it to the peasants, man. Fuck it. Like, you know what I mean? This is going to be our charitable donations. This is my 10% that I have to give in the name of Jesus. I don't know who the hell they killed to make Fortnite, and now they're just taking this blood money and trying to make it fucking feel good. But Jesus, come on. Come on, Epic.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because they have to compete.
No, it's not a
against,
bad thing, but it's
No.
fucking stupid.
They got to compete against Unity, so this is like just their way of kind of like just raising the middle finger to Unity, being like, "Hey, we got the money now, bitches." And
Talk
'cause,
about
like, yeah.
They could just
fucking-
buy Unity. They could just say, you know what? I think I'm going to buy Unity and burn it. And then I'll just, everyone's
Pretty
going to
much.
be forced to use
that's
the Unreal
gonna be next month, Jeff. They need to let everyone kind of soak in the developer money,
Jesus.
and then they're just gonna light Unity on fire.
I can't wait until we see the end of year filings for Epic.
Oh my
Because
God.
I think there's a lot of very interested people in just how much money in this like
Billions.
just
Billions.
year that they're making, and just
They're
look for when they
they're gonna make Grand
introduce.
Theft Auto 5
One of our
look like fucking like a shit tier game.
one of our viewers has actually informed us who Epic killed. They killed Cliffy B.
Oh, murdered Cliff.
I don't know if Cliffy needed any help with that, but if they wanted to, then yes, they absolutely did, without question. Poor Cliffy. I still see him post randomly on Twitter, and it's like, it's always the saddest shit. It's just depressing now. I don't know why I'm still following him. I don't need that. I already have enough depressing shit on my timeline. I don't need Cliffy B
Oh my
coming on
God.
having a midlife crisis every time I turn on Twitter. Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I mean, I guess congratulations to the content creators for the Epic Engine, because you're now making basically almost 30% more for just almost nothing.
Congrats.
Just
You got
doing
a
what
nice
you're
little
doing, man.
bonus check.
Yeah.
coming in the
Doing
mail.
what you're doing.
You
Keep
just
doing it.
you just keep making cash registers and coffee machines and all
Epic
the
is
other
making
shit.
so much money that they gave everybody refunds back for Paragon. Didn't even give a fuck. Just gave everybody. You know what? Whatever, that $200 you spent 2 years ago, we'll give it. We're just gonna give it back to you. We're gonna give it, and now we're just gonna give devs money. We're gonna retroactive pay these fuckers. Just
Well,
throw
Epic's
it.
always
Like, they're
been-
just throwing their dick around.
Epic's always been privately held, so and they've been doing games since the 80s. So like, a lot of them are old guard. They already had their money, so they actually a lot of them they kind of do it for the passion. So the fact that they got their game, I think they're
Well, if
pretty
they
excited.
don't do it for the passion, they are making it. They're making people think they do it for the passion.
Yeah.
They're doing a
Something
good job.
something tells me there's more to this than meets the eye. There's
I
got to be
guarantee
some
you,
sort
it's a
of
market share
strategic-
thing. It's a
Yeah,
market
well,
share thing.
Yeah, it could be a market share thing. There's a reason for it. They're not just going to give out free money for the sake of giving out charity.
They're not just walking
So,
down the street
there's
throwing money at hobos.
Yeah.
They're not.
There's,
They're not.
some-
just-
there's something going on.
Yeah, they're definitely doing. They're definitely doing something. And it is most likely that they're just trying to steal as many content creators from other engine spaces as they can and just soak
and
them up.
Unreal Engine being free to use, and then they collect royalties on it. It kind of makes sense.
It's just crazy. Yeah, like why would you go anywhere else right now if you're free to use and you're going to collect royalty? Like why? Why would you ever do
Yep.
that?
Yep.
All right, what else we got here? Let's see. We've got. All right, I toss this one down just to give us a little extra padding before we land into the nuclear hot zone that is the ArenaNet firings. And I just wanted to pose this question to you guys because you guys are more interested in it than I am, and we seem to be in like this kind of awkward lull. We didn't really see a dramatic amount at E3 about VR stuff, and I just wanted to ask a question to you guys. Do you think VR is making it through this downturn, or did VR have its have its, it's shot, and now devs are just not paying much attention to the platform anymore?
Yes.
Elaborate.
No, I mean VR is it's one of those techs that comes and goes. Like you'll see a big VR push every couple of years. Like we saw it in the 80s, we saw it in the 90s, we saw it again recently. This most like past year or two has been like a big boon for it. We've seen a lot of cool stuff come out of it. I think it's gonna go away for, maybe another year or two or three, but we'll see it come back when they kind of pushed it too far, where the processing power wasn't quite there and the tech wasn't quite there for everyone to enjoy it. Like the headsets are just a little too heavy. The screen door effect is just a little too much. The wires are just a little too annoying. So I feel like they're going to be like, okay, let's see if we can get the wireless stuff working better. Let's see if we can get rid of the screen door effect, and let's see if we can get rid of the wires and like, the weight of it and bring it down with the new tech. If they can do that, I feel like VR is going to, do really well. I love my Oculus Go. I use this actually a lot more than the Vive, even though the Vive can do a lot more. Just for like consuming content and some stuff, this thing's pretty cool. So, I feel like there's a place for it, and I think in the next, maybe 2 or 3 years, when they kind of dial the tech in and come up with ways to make it a little bit more user friendly, we'll see it come back.
Okay, what do you think, Mr. Black? Do you think that we're actually going to see a comeback with VR, or do you think that we peaked at Resident Evil 7 and now we're just going downhill faster than, I don't know, an old man rolling down after breaking a hip?
Well, I do think we peaked
That's
at
a
Resident
terrible
Evil 7.
analogy. Where was I going with that? Anyway,
I don't know.
continue.
We definitely peaked at Resident Evil 7 for gaming anyway. Yeah, I think they gave a big push for VR and it had some marginal success. I think it did what it needed to do in the first sort of push of the real push of VR. I mean, VR has been around for a while, but it was really only for devs and people that really want to take an Oculus and know how to like fucking read code and hook different things up and download patches and fucking
it was a lot of work.
and it was a nightmare, right? So there was like maybe a few hundred people out there that actually went ahead and bought an Oculus and did that. It was mainly for devs to create games and that. So I think like for the first generation of VR, because I think that we can pretty much call it first generation, maybe second version of VR if you really want to push it. But the first real generation of VR for
first
consoles,
viable version.
First viable. I think it did its thing. I think the VR sold relatively well in comparison to how many consoles are out there. It is a niche thing. Panic was right. They're heavy. They're uncomfortable. I mean, I did a 10-hour session with one.
You had like a headache for like 2 days after.
Oh, it was horrible. I mean, my neck was cramped, headaches, it got to the point where I wanted the game to end because I just wanted to take the damn headset off, but I also loved the game. I wanted to keep playing the game. So, it's one of those things that they need to perfect the tech. They got the proof of concept is out there. It's done. There's still some great VR games out there. I mean, there's some really cool VR experiences on the console. Even there's some downloadable games on the PS Store that there's some fun games to be had. I still think we are another generation away before either devs are going to really want to start implementing it a lot more, or it's going to be, or just until people are okay with it. Like, and it's still expensive. Like, there's so, like, Kayla can't even put the damn headset on. She gets motion sickness. So, I mean, you're dealing with people. There's like, it's still always going to be a niche. I don't think
Some
VR
people
is
have
ever
a violent
gonna
reaction
sell.
to it.
Yeah, like VR isn't going to sell to the point where, all right, there's 4 of us here. I don't even think VR is going to get to the point where 1 of 4 of us are going to buy it, right? I think that it's going to be more of maybe 1 in 6, 1 in 10 consoles of VR will be sold. Or maybe 1 in 4 will own a VR, but I'm not sure how many games will actually be sold. It might be for a specific experience. Maybe there's a mist that comes out and Adam's like, fuck, I got to experience this in VR. So I'm willing to go and spend a couple $100 bucks to get
a lot of it for like the experience gamers or the experience places. Like you'll see them for certain arcades will pick it up, or there'll be places that will have VR in like more of a professional like setting where you'll go and do something there.
Yeah.
And I think the other place where it's going to pick up are sim gamers.
Yeah.
So like flight sims and all of that stuff, I think you're going to pick up VR because right now a lot of the flight tech is you have to set up these giant bubble domes that have screen projection or like a ton of monitors and stuff. It's a lot easier to just do that on like a VR headset.
Yeah.
And if they can work out a way so just like so you can see and manage your controls and stuff, I feel like it's gonna be super popular with like the flight sim people, the racing sim people. Hell, when I played, I got the Vive and stuff for freaking Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous, and it's still really hard to convey to someone how awesome it is to do like a space combat sim in VR because it fixes a lot of like the motion sickness problems. Because if you're sitting in like a plane cockpit or something, you're expected to be sitting still, and you're literally just having to look around and move your joystick and stuff. So it fits the niche really well. So I figure it's going to be huge for that.
Yeah,
and then also VR
we'll
porn,
see.
obviously.
I think augmented reality is going to make a push, in the next generation consoles. I think we're going to start to see more of that.
Has anyone actually used a HoloLens in person? Like I hear everyone talk about how amazing it is, but I've never actually seen one in the wild.
No. I just think VR. I think VR is it's a niche thing. I think it's always going to remain a niche thing, and I think VR is going to be more for non-video games than video games. I think we're going to just see it a lot more in everyday stuff, like just going to a furniture store and just kind of seeing what your house would look like with certain furniture on, or experiences like thrill rides and things like that. I think that VR is more suited for that. I love me a good VR game, especially Resident Evil. I absolutely love that. But we'll see. I think I don't even know if it's going to make a serious push in the next generation consoles. Honestly, I think it's going to be the same
just
thing.
Just going to get like incrementally better, but not.
It'll get a little
really
bit better.
there.
It'll get a little bit better until the point where they really need something that's wireless. They need something that it doesn't hurt your neck. And they need something that's affordable. Like they cannot be charging a console price for VR and expect the masses to buy it. There'll always be us that'll buy it because we're techies and we can afford to throw a couple extra bucks on something. But for everyday people that are already struggling to buy, one game every 6 months, it's hard to also then buy a VR game, especially when there's not that many VR games out that even worth playing. It's like shit, and most of the games that you can play them in non-VR mode as well. So it's really just an experience thing. I think it's going to remain that way for quite some time, and it's not showing like any major improvements around the corner.
Yeah, it's just I agree. I don't think the next generation is going to do much. I think the reason why it works in the capacity that you were talking about, Jeff, in terms of like, let's say, furniture store or like attractions and stuff like you guys were talking about, like where it can be set up professionally. The setup for it is perfected so that you're going to get the best possible experience. It's going to work as it should. They can run much more powerful systems there. Like that kind of setup. I think all of that stuff just ends up pointing at all the hurdles that they have to kind of get over right now with VR, which is how much power it takes to run them. And that's in their current form. They still need better resolution and higher frame rates. We're struggling to get that off the ground as it stands right now. So the amount of power required is huge. Because of where the technology is right now, to get that kind of screen, to get that kind of stuff sorted out, and to be able to manufacture it on any kind of scale, it just runs the cost up dramatically. Then the real big issues with that is that even if you do get better equipment, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be lighter at first. It's going to sometimes be heavier. So in Jeff's case, talking about playing Resident Evil, and I mean, there's not that many people going to be batshit enough to play 10 hours of VR straight, but even if you play it for like an hour or 2 hours, depending on how strong your neck is, these headsets are front heavy,
top heavy. Yeah,
like they're hanging off, and you're forced to use those.
Yeah,
the muscles, your spinal and erectors that come up and meet at the back of your neck, all the way up to the top of your head, and you'll get massive tension headaches if you're constantly propping your head up like that, which is what Jeff would have experienced after 10 straight hours on that bad boy. And that's going to be, I think one of their biggest hurdles. But like, how do they tackle that? Because right now they have, they have to have a one size fits all. So bands have to be involved to a degree.
Right here.
Right?
This thing is awesome because it's a lot of fabric, a lot of light plastic, and some very lightweight straps.
Yeah, and you got to run with that. But ideally, you wouldn't even have to go with that. Ideally, you'd be able to figure out a way to just have. Ideally, you'd have a helmet.
Goggles.
Ideally, you'd like literally have a fucking helmet, because at the point of the helmet, the weight is evenly distributed across your entire head, and then you're not necessarily using so specifically the two muscles at the back of your neck to try and hold your head up the whole time, because it's across your entire head. It's like wearing a bicycle helmet. It's the weight is coming kind of more straight down instead of shearing force off the front of your head. So they've got that to contend with. And then, like Jeff also mentioned, you had to be with the Vive, and even still to this day, you have to be a borderline fucking rocket scientist to get the cameras in the right place. You're putting holes in walls, hanging them up.
I almost fell out of my 10-story window putting up one of the towers. There's one literally sitting right up there, and you guys might be able to see.
Yeah, you can see the cable for it. So like, like there's a lot of there's too much. It's too much.
There's a lot that goes into it. It took me a couple hours to set up.
Like the proposition as a buyer, like the people that are going to want to do that, it's just there's not that many. So in order to get mass adoption, the price has to come way down. The technology has to be way better. And it has to be way fucking lighter to put on your head. And then maybe.
Plus, we need games.
Yeah, well, that was my next point. And then maybe if devs take the risk of going out of their way to make a game for VR, then you have that last hurdle. So there's just for the gaming segment anyway, because like Jeff said and Panic was saying as well, there are other applications in games for VR that make more sense and are probably more economically feasible for people spending the time and effort to make it happen. But in the gaming segment, like the risk that you take going out of your way to make a VR game is just bonkers. It's too much. And there's just so many hurdles. So I agree with Jeff in that the next generation might get a little better, and maybe the market penetration is ever so slightly improved. But I'm going to keep standing by my point that I made. We probably talked about this on the podcast almost at the beginning when we started this podcast. When we talked about augmented reality versus virtual reality, and I talked about it on my stream several times over the years. I am still firmly in the camp that augmented reality is going to overtake VR for almost every purpose before VR gets to a point that they can actually be used mass market.
VR is eventually going to, I think, get relegated to simulation and, extreme immersion experiences. Maybe a decade down the line when we can get to like Sword Art level shit.
Yeah.
AR is going to be a lot more common because Jeff actually raised a really good one. You want to see a piece of furniture in your house? Throw on a pair of goggles and walk around your house and have the thing project the image onto the goggles. So you can see what that couch looks like in your room with all the weird lighting. Like that sort of thing is going to be a killer application for someone who's just going around. You'll see that shit in IKEA where they'll be like, oh, hey, we'll send you these goggles and you can be like, all right, I want these pieces of furniture, and then work it out that way. You'll see shit like that just come out of the
pictures of your own house, and they'll put it through a computer, and you'll put on your goggles, and you'll see what it looks like.
Done. I mean, they already have software that
do that in the cloud.
They already have software that interior designers use where they can take pictures and just flat out move and shift stuff into place to basically use the existing photo to show to the client what they're working with. So, I mean, I think that's definitely the way to go. But yeah, for sure. I think AR is just eventually going to overtake. This is good because there's definitely an intersecting point between where does VR start and where does AR like end and vice versa.
I would love to see an AR thing for like tabletop gaming. Can you imagine AR Dungeons and Dragons
Well,
or something?
when
It'd be
people
huge.
saw Microsoft do their whole thing
The
with
Minecraft thing.
the Minecraft bit, Jeff, you would probably remember that, I'm sure. That was fire. I was never so sold on some shit so fast as when I saw that, and I understand it was a demo, and I'm sure they're even more easily able to do that now, because that was years ago that happened. But can you imagine, like, Pokemon with that shit? Fire. Can you imagine tabletop RPGs? Absolute fire. There's
You
so
just
many,
sit at a normal ass table and you look at the table.
and
you
it's
don't
done.
need to have miniature stuff. All the stuff is just there. It's like
That's a
God tier
no-
for anyone who has no storage space.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunities there for sure. So yeah, I agree. If you guys had to guess as to when VR might actually have its best shot, how many years out before VR has its best shot at actually penetrating the market beyond a bunch of people crazy enough to spend 4 hours drilling holes in their wall to mount cameras?
8 years.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say about 10 for VR, maybe 4 for AR.
I could agree with 10 for sure. I think AR. I think AR and VR are both around a decade out from being mass market usable. Maybe a little less for professional settings outside of the home, but I think they're probably both about a decade out. We're getting, especially the way that the computer market has been going recently, the ARM chips and taking over the fucking world, and AMD and Intel in a massive who can have more cores into a fucking chip war. The power for everything is going up. It doesn't necessarily mean it's getting smaller. Some of these chips that they're putting out are the size of a coaster, but yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but for sure, I'm ready. I want to believe in VR and AR. I want to be there. For sure. It would be great. I don't want to be 60 years old when it happens either, if possible. If we could like speed that shit up, that would be good. Well, unfortunately, we've reached the part of the episode where fire and brimstone just rains down from the heavens, and we get to tackle this. Jeff, you were, I believe, in Vegas throughout this entire debacle, and so you avoided the Gong Show.
I probably wouldn't have cared either way, but I don't even know what we're talking about.
No, you absolutely wouldn't have cared, but it's likely a topic that that you will enjoy giving your opinion on. I think it's going to be one of those.
Okay.
It's you wouldn't give a fuck if you saw it, but if somebody said, "Hey Jeff, how stupid is this?" you'd go, "Take a seat." Panic's already face down on his desk because he doesn't want to talk about it, but it's too bad we're here. ArenaNet. It's that the Jeff. That's the company that did Guild Wars, for example. Fired 2 employees here in the last week and a bit after a interesting series of events that ultimately played out in the majority on Twitter. What happened was ArenaNet is very. They have almost like a company policy of having a very open line of communication with their customers. So every time a major patch or a patch releases for Guild Wars 2, for example, they have a big Reddit AMA, and the devs go to this AMA for their respective departments whenever a question comes up, and they answer a bunch of questions and talk to the community and get feedback and all that stuff, because it helps them make the game less shit for the people that actually are playing the game. So that's been that way for quite some time. Like they've always been for quite some time anyway. I won't say always, just in case I'm horribly wrong, but for quite some time anyway, they've been very open, and the devs have been very active with the community for that reason. And this one employee one of the 2 employees, she was working as a narrative. I guess you could call her like a narrative director.
She was on the writing team.
She's on the writing team, and she was there for a year to this point at ArenaNet. She had a previous job somewhere else, And
She's been
coincidentally,
at other writing-heavy companies. She's been at like
Yeah.
Harebrained Games or Harebrained Schemes.
All right,
sorry.
what happened? What
Yeah,
happened?
we're getting there. I'm framing it because it's good.
Fuck,
Okay.
are you ever? You're fucking framing it, and you're
Framing. I'm putting the siding on. I'm gonna.
You're doing everything. You're taping it,
I'm
painting
going-
it, fucking
going to
packaging it.
the Swedish embassy to buy some furniture.
Jesus.
All right, so she writes. I don't know if it was directly involved with the AMA or not, but she wrote for Reddit this post describing her views of what it's like to try and write an intriguing player character for an MMO, like the challenges that come with trying to write a character, because you can't. It's not like you are. Let's say.
It's harder to write around someone that the player has to be. As
Yeah.
opposed to,
You're not.
An NPC.
You're not. Yeah, you're not like Commander Shepard in Mass Effect, where the character is kind of written as such, and you get like some vague, choices as to what goes on. Or you're not John Marston in a Rockstar, title, because those are hard baked characters. This
and
is
you have
like
thousands
some.
of people who are going to be playing this role in the game, kind of. So.
Yeah, this dead vessel that has to carry the players, the thoughts and
An
feelings
NPC.
around. Yeah. So, the player character. So she puts that up, and then
She put
somebody.
she wrote it. It was on her personal Twitter. She
Yes.
wrote a 25 tweet thread about writing for the game. She also identifies herself as a part of the studio and the writing team and stuff,
Yeah.
which is
So,
relevant later.
in regards to that, a relatively well-known Guild Wars 2 community member responded to the thread in what could not have been a more nicely worded, less threatening way I've ever seen somebody critique or have constructive criticism on the internet. This was not a YouTube comment where they brought your mother into it or threatened to burn your children alive. This was like this, just whatever.
Okay.
Disagreed with her. Just said,
He literally said, he's like, this is an awesome thread. It was really interesting to read. I disagree with you. He actually said, I disagree with you, asterisk slightly, like very slightly. And he started talking about I want to, can we, what about this approach? And what did you think about, possibly handling it in a certain way, like this way? Very, very, very short and polite and sweet and simple.
And basically, what happened from there was she went from 0 to 100 instantaneously and flipped on this guy and just lost her shit. And started with basically saying that, the long short of it was, because there's a whole bunch of tweets, some that were deleted, some weren't. She was shitting on them for the fact that, what do you know? I've been in the industry she pulled the I've been in the industry card. She tried to then eventually, so the crux of the whole thing, really, for a lot of people, is that she tried to basically say, like the tweet specifically, I think I have it here. Today, in being a female game developer.
Fired.
Yep.
No, not yet. That wasn't the one that got her fired.
No, in quotes, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how to do your job. So I want to reiterate. Okay.
Read the tweet. Read the exact tweet that the guy sent.
Here's the tweet. It was one of three. I'm only going to read the first one because it's the only one that gives you the idea of the tone. Really interesting thread to read. Gives the okay sign. However, allow me to disagree slightly, like Panic said in asterisk. I don't believe the issue lies in RPG genre itself, as your wording seemingly suggested. I believe the issue lies in the constraints of the Living Story's narrative design, which is, the Living Story is Guild Wars 2's
Highly progressive
story
overall.
progression is the name of it. That's it. That's how that comment went. Which, by the way, if I got that shit on the regular on YouTube, I'd be the happiest motherfucker on the planet, because you can't ask for somebody to be more civil.
This guy is a community member to ArenaNet also. Like, he's an ArenaNet partner, meaning they know him, they work with him. he is so well known in the community and well liked. They named an NPC after him in the game, and he's got like a huge following of people, and he's just generally known as a pretty nice guy.
So her first response was, "Thanks for trying to tell me what to do internally, my dude." And then it kind of just spiraled wildly out of control from there. And I can't follow. There's a video that was
done.
No
one escalated it. She just did it herself.
She did all the escalating herself. All of his responses to her escalation were at that same calm, non-threatening. Didn't mention that she was a woman once. Didn't mention anything about her not knowing to do her job.
It had nothing to do with gender at all. Like, it was just like, hey, I'm curious about what you think about this topic.
Her, of course, she's a female in a man's world. And she just had the world against her.
So she pulled that card, and then from that point, it just kept spiraling. So Panic, I'll let Panic pick up on where it eventually ended up getting her fired.
So roughly the exact phrasing that got her fired was, she kind of started going on the passive aggressive route, not addressing the guy directly, and on a side thread said, "The next rando asshat that tries to talk about branching narrative and choices is gonna get a block from me."
And then she had a couple people that she had an exchange with, heated exchange with, who she inevitably blocked. Again,
Yes.
there is a video that goes super into depth. I think his name's Wooden Potato. It has this 57-minute thing that includes the deleted tweets. Like, he has everything and goes through the whole fucking spiel.
This all took place on July 4th, which is a holiday, so a lot of the company wasn't actually in. The part that takes the twist here is her coworker, Peter Fries. He's also a very well-known person in the arena. He did a lot of stuff. He was functionally at home enjoying his 4th of July, and he was kind of a little drunk, but you go on social media and sometimes you get involved, right? You see someone razzing on Adam and you jump in, or you see someone razzing on your set.
He was having his girls back.
And this was also a guy that worked at the company for 13 years, just as more clarification. This dude's been around. He had some tenure. This other chick had barely even taken her shoes off yet, but this dude been in the company for 13 years. So
if you want to talk about his tweets, I don't have his tweets off the top of my head. Like, I don't quite remember. He was very he sided with her and he defended her. But he was polite about it. Like, he didn't get aggressive. He was just like, "Hey, look, my experience as a male dev has been different. And that's fine. But one of the things is she didn't ask for your feedback. So, it was kind of a little unsolicited at that point. So he was kind of polite, but at the same time, he did get involved."
That's all he said? Was she didn't ask for your feedback?
Okay, so that's what he started with.
Yeah.
That's what he started with. And he got progressively worse as shit went on until he said he was probably
did he actually
good.
Start cursing?
He was. I can't remember if he did or not.
I don't think he started cursing. I think he kept it relatively civil, but he did mention he was drunk.
Wooden
already.
Potatoes video goes so well into all this shit, but he was definitely safe up to a point, and then he didn't tap dance across. He just fucking full charged his ass across the line and got himself fired. He was probably good for a really good chunk of time, and then he
90% of the exchange.
Then he fucked up. He did some stupid shit. He said some really aggressive things, and then he got himself
put my dick in your mouth.
No, literally,
not that deep.
Literally,
but he was starting to get heated with the
literally
customers.
July 4th. This went down. July 5th in the morning. They
fired.
Were both fired. As the workday started, they were gone.
It was one of those walking into the office and there's already a box sitting on your desk that just says "Fill me up and get out."
Actually, had posted on the forum within an hour of them getting fired, go over that.
So, what was I gonna say? So, the thing is that both of them fucking seem to forget. Is that she pulled another card that she pulled was that this is my private Twitter account, one of her tweets. This is my private Twitter account. I don't have to pretend to like you here. Which was a particularly stupid thing to say to any customer, let alone a well-known community member.
Literally, when your account is on your bios as, oh, I wrote this for this game, and you literally had a 25 thread thing talking about how you wrote this thing
So
for this game.
There's some equivalence of stupidity here. Step one is that she forgot she was on social media. And that's not private. No, there's no such thing as private social media unless you literally mark your account private for like the 4 people in your family that sees the shit. And even then, it's not really private. It's just only 4 people are seeing it. So she forgot that when you put some shit out there on social media, you have officially opened it up for the world to come in, see it, and say and do whatever the fuck they want to do about whatever you just posted. So she forgot about that. And the second thing that she forgot is whether it's your private account or not, companies don't give a fuck. If people know that you work for that company and then you go spouting some crazy shit on the internet, it is fully within that company's rights.
It's happened to me.
To get your shit out of there. It's just like, look, you're doing a shit job of representing this company. Get the fuck out. And a lot of newer companies with social media now will have clauses in contracts that say, heads up, if you say some stupid shit and you get us in hot water for it, we have the right to remove you from this company. So it was madness. But the thing that really got people heated in the whole discussion that kind of followed was the moment she pulled the fucking female card was.
I check out the moment she says. It's funny because
dude,
females out there, they complain that they're not treated as an equal or that they're looked differently, and so on and so forth. But yet they continuously bring up something that isn't even being talked about or at the forefront. It's just like a random defense. It's like if I went to Walmart and I walked into Walmart and I'm going there because the chicken's on sale and I'm going in there and I'm getting some chicken. All right. I go and pick up my chicken. I go and grab some razors because I'm low on razors or whatever the case may be. I get some dog treats and some cat litter.
Sir.
And then there's just one random fucking person that just keeps staring at me. Right? They're just.
Sir, did you know we have a special on watermelons?
And I look over and I
want to actually.
No, let Jeff finish his story.
And then I go. Oh, it's because I'm black, isn't it? Right? I just randomly go, hey, you've never seen a Negro before, right? But instead they're looking at the fucking booger I got sitting on my nose, or maybe like my tattoo, or like
flies undone.
Maybe they're looking at something that's going on behind me.
Yeah, there's a dude behind you.
But I immediately just go to the you never seen a Negro, right? And they're like, what the fuck, dude? I didn't say that. And that's what these females doing all the time. It's like dude, we don't care that you're a girl. Like, you got a vagina, congratulations. You can play some games, congratulations. Twitch has an IRL stream, you're relevant now. Congratulations. You know what I'm saying? Don't come at me. All right? Don't come at me. All right? Because you're the one who's putting this on you, and then that's what's going down. So that's how I feel.
Go ahead.
I just get salty about it. I just get so salty.
Dude,
it's every time I get so salty.
When I was watching that,
just a bunch of cry wolves.
Oh, I was watching that thread and that came up, and I just about lost it.
It gets worse. This is the part that really actually pissed me off. Right? Usually, if you do something wrong, you kind of have to own up to it. You acknowledge there's consequences. You can fight the good fight for a cause, and you can talk about a cause, and you can And if there's consequences that happens, you could talk about that too. There's ways to go about it. So I'm going to read 2 quotes that she had in response to her firing, including when the CEO actually talked to her about firing her, right?
Okay.
So this is her response.
So she went back on social media.
There's
been media articles written about it because she's been doing interviews and shit.
So, cashing in, Jeff.
Cashing in, baby. Struggles.
So it starts off with Price's. The person in question is Jessica Price, who's a writer for Arena at the time. Price's boss, it turned out, agreed with the angry fans. Price was called into a meeting with a manager from the narrative department, a human resources person, and ArenaNet president Mike O'Brien. She said, I was given no opportunity to argue my case. My manager was on vacation. O'Brien spent some time insisting that developers must be friends with the company's customers and that it was unacceptable to say that we aren't, even when we're not on the clock. He told me I'd look back and regret this because we're doing great work and I'd ruined it. The whole thing was highly unprofessional, she continued. There was zero reason for him to be there. He wanted to vent his anger, and he had the power to command a woman to stand there while he took his feelings out on her. So he did. Then he walked out. The manager got my stuff from my desk,
I didn't hear this
and
shit.
the HR person asked for my key card. Motherfucker, hold on. You're talking about professionalism when you start talking about the community as rando asshats? Where is your self-awareness here?
She pulled the card again.
The CEO literally told you that, like, look, you can't do that shit. Like, look, we sell games. We have a community.
The CEO,
You can't be going and calling the community rando asshats. And she comes out and says he had no reason to be there. You know what she would have said if he wasn't there? This motherfucking CEO didn't have the balls to come and fire a woman face to face because I'm a woman. That's what she would have said.
What you know? What's better is that in anywhere in there did she?
Jesus Christ!
At any point do we know if she's even mentioned the other guy that got fired?
Price later discovered that her colleague Peter Fries, who defended her in social media threads, was also fired.
Is it because he also was a trans and is actually a female?
No, that was the guy.
Peter Fries is actually an
yeah.
upstanding, and generally he had a good reputation in the gaming industry.
He just fucked up.
I'm saying
he was
that
drunk
because,
on social media, yeah,
because he doesn't have a vagina, to my understanding, and yet he still suffered the same fate as this chick did.
Which is why I was asking. You know, at any point in time did she mention? Oh, hey, by the way, you know, it was
she
also
mentioned that
unfair.
she was going to talk to him at some point in the next week or so. But
so
she
then
hadn't
why
talked to him yet.
why did she he got the same fucking treatment as she did? And she's out there pulling the fucking woman card, which I'm telling you right now is about 50% of the reason why unfortunate Peter got fired in the first place. Because ArenaNet sat back and said, all right, look, we got this chick doing some crazy shit on social media, and it's a real bad look for us right now. It flies in the face of everything, and she's only been here for a fucking year.
It gets better though.
No, hold on.
I'll let you finish, but it gets better.
And unfortunately, old Peteski, who's been here for 13 years, had one too many on July 4th and decided to white knight this chick. And we have a couple of options here. We either fire her because she's the main issue here and she's only been here for a year anyway, and we don't fire Peter because he's been here for 13 years and he was really just defending another employee. However, he also said some shit that he shouldn't have and should be reprimanded for that in some way anyway. What happens if we do that? Well, the entire fucking modern world in 2018 comes down on our ass because only the woman got fired in that instance. Or we get rid of
nuance here.
Or we get both of them.
You can't say shit.
And we can half cover our ass. Oh, she still says it, but at least it takes away some of her arguments. So Peter is the real, like, Peter said some shit that 3 years ago, man or woman, would have at best been a sit down meeting with the heads,
meeting with HR,
and HR said, you can't do that shit. And it
ended, a warning or something.
And a warning or something. It ends there. But in 2018, you ain't got no fucking... You got no wiggle room. Nobody's got wiggle room. The company doesn't have it, and sure as shit, the employees don't
social media
by proxy.
Not going to give it to you. Like,
nobody's going to give it to you. So
the thing is, social media is once there's a bit of that drama, social media is just going to jump all over it, right? They're going to be like, oh, you motherfucker, fuck you, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
It gets worse.
You're so fucking terrible. And they're just riling people up, and they're like, I can't believe you hired this bitch. What the fuck? Boycott.
Exactly.
I'm gonna play Guild Wars again.
Exactly.
This is how you treat our greatest member? There's an NPC named after this fucker. He was here long before you, bitch. You don't know who the fuck you are. He was a fucking $1 million patron. He put more money into this shit than he did that fucking space game that'll never come out. You're a fucking bitch, and you got a vagina. And it's all your fault, vagina, estrogen, period, bitch. That's what they're saying. And she's actually on her period and salty. And she's
Vagina
put-
estrogen period, bitch.
That's
What?
that's the internet. That's the
She
internet.
put ArenaNet on blast afterwards saying, oh, they put a target on our back. They said they were against harassment, but it's all fake bullshit that, they're just talking the talk. Now, here's the thing, right? And again, I feel like Mike O'Brien is like the voice of reason here, the CEO or like president of ArenaNet. Because he came out afterwards, after all of this shit, he had to make a statement, which I'm sure he loved having to make. But he was just like, all right, guys, look, real talk. And this is his statement. Jessica identified herself as an ArenaNet employee on Reddit and Twitter. She'd been talking about the episode 3 storytelling with fans on Reddit and wrote a 25-part tweet about how we tell stories. She was representing the company. The expectation was to behave professionally and respectfully. And the most important part, which I'm going to add here, or at least walk away. Instead, she attacked.
Should have took a lesson from me. See, people are just missing out on these
And
opportunities.
then it said, look, and then she said, look, ArenaNet should have had my back. They should have been protecting me from the harassment. So he goes on and responds to that part saying, concerns were raised that she was responding to harassment. And it's not my place to tell employees when they should or shouldn't feel harassed. Completely reasonable statement. In this case, however, our employees could have chosen not to engage, and they could have brought the issue to the company, whereby we would have done everything we could to protect them. We don't tolerate harassment. If they feel harassed and they want to bring the issue,
4th of July. People were drinking.
They actually
people
said
were salty.
They actually said the tweets were made on July 4th when the studio was closed for the holiday.
Yeah.
We were aware of them that day and decided we needed to take action in the morning. The fact that the community's anger was escalating on July 5th could make it look like our actions were a response to community's anger, but that wasn't the case. We took action as soon as we practically could, which is literally we came in the morning and we did what we needed to do.
Look,
Yeah, we fired the bitch in the morning. That was the show.
Yeah.
look, it's just the whole thing.
ridiculous.
The whole thing is fucking
Everyone's got to be
crazy.
the freaking hero in their own goddamn story, apparently.
I'm so. Am I the only motherfucker that's tired of this shit? Seriously, like
No, I kind of like it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of like just the drama of it all.
You're going to
I kinda
be like,
it.
I'm tired. You're going to say you're tired of it, but you're like literally sitting there on your phone and you're like, I got to look up more of this shit.
No, like I like being part of the discussion because like anyone, I enjoy a really easy roast. Like it's not like a hard roast when somebody does this shit. But watching somebody weaponize their supposed oppression is one of the most fucking infuriating things I've seen become a popular thing.
Yeah, dude.
And it's crazy because what would happen if she's watched this is we got three people here. We're all swinging dick, all right? And she'd be like, "Well, look at these 3, cis male commentators out there just without me being able to defend myself, being a bunch of like patriarchal, misogynistic fuckboys, just all this shit going in on me and my business and what do they know about my life story and shit." Look, she already got in fire with the company she was with before for something similar to this. She either left the company or was compelled to leave by forces from within the company. She then said that when she, in regards to this whole occurrence, when she first entered ArenaNet, she was under the impression that they told her that she would not have to, change who she was to be at the company. And I want to say this to Jessica. All right, for a hot second, okay. There is a fine line between being allowed to be who you are as an individual and then being a fucking asswipe on the internet to customers and not getting heat for it. You can't just if I'm working
the fight and then being an asshole.
if I'm working at fucking Abercrombie and Fitch, where the average IQ of the people working there, including myself, and the people buying clothes there is somewhere between 90 and 92. And you're going to fucking have to put up with that shit for 8 straight hours a day and get paid dick all for fucking money. And you got to wear, they force you to wear like 74-inch deep knee, like V-necks and shit, hipster fucking, everything's linen, whatever the fuck else you got going on at Abercrombie and Fitch. Like Jeff's got right there. Give me those titties. Look at that. Beautiful. And you got to put up with that shit on a daily basis. you get to be who you are because, you know, maybe you are flaming fucking gay and they probably like it there if you are one way or another. Like Jeff's got this whole thing going on right now. But that doesn't mean that if a customer comes up and complains about the fact that you aren't folding those $500 jeans properly, that you walk over and you tear a strip off them and slap them in the face. You don't get to do that shit. Maybe that is you. And the company said, you don't have to change who you are, but the company also said you can't harass and slap around our fucking customers. There's a difference. You can't do that shit anywhere. I don't care who the fuck you work for.
And you walk away.
At
you
this
let the company
point,
deal with
at
it.
this point in Jessica Price's career, her options right now are looking like Vice News and Starbucks. Those are her two fucking options.
Get fucked.
Because who else is going to pick this chick up unless it's a company like Vice?
Somebody on Tinder will pick her up.
Who's looking at trying to find people who just want to also whine about the world keeping them down, man. I've got this
Being black is so tough.
it's so hard. Just
There's no jobs out there for a young black man.
I'm this white attractive female in fucking the United States of America, and shit's so hard.
Your white privilege.
Oh, your male privilege is showing right. Oh my god.
Me.
Like other that or Starbucks. Those are two fucking options. Honest to God. If anyone else picks her up, they're insane. They're literally insane. She's now a repeat offender of this bullshit. And unless that's your whole motive, then you're not gonna fucking hire this chick. She's just fucking off herself, and she's gonna end up complaining about this shit for like the next fucking 2 years. She'll probably try and write a book about it because she's not making money anywhere else. So she's gonna write like her own fucking like little biography about her life in the gaming industry and probably
What
tie
game
in
did she work on?
Guild Wars 2,
Oh, okay.
where she was part of the writing team.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, just fuck, stop.
I don't know. I got a message for Jessica. So, Jessica,
What do you got?
Oh no.
Jessica,
How do you like your coffee?
Jessica. I mean, I'm sorry for your loss. I really.
No, you're not.
Okay, let me be real here. Okay. I'm trying hard not to just lay down the hammer, but you fucked up. You fucked up. You went on Twitter. You ran your mouth. You had a couple of bottles of wine or maybe just a couple of glasses, whatever gets you there. You put something out there for the world and they gave it back to you. And they gave it back to you fairly straight. Listen, I get it. No one likes to be criticized. Nobody likes to be told that their life's work is not good enough for some random cuck or whatever she said. Ass hat.
Was it ass hat or
Ass hat.
ass
Whatever.
hat? Okay.
It just doesn't feel good. I get it. It's a hurt on the ego and the pride. But you went out on Twitter on an outcry that your job is tough. And to write a story about an orc that lives in the woods is just a terrible, terrible time.
Especially when you're a female, Jeff, it becomes astronomically more difficult.
The reality of it is this. No one gives a shit that you've got a vagina. Okay? Nobody cares. All right? Maybe 5 guys on Tinder gave you a swipe left. But beyond that world, besides your mom and your dad, nobody gives a flying fuck that you've got a vagina. That's not the reason why you were fired. That's not the reason why someone told you that you should probably think about writing in this other direction. Whether you agreed with it or not, it has nothing to do with your vagina. Okay? It just doesn't. Sorry. By the way, Guild Wars 2 sucks monkey dick. And you're probably a shit writer. If you were a better writer, the game probably would be doing better. Okay? You don't like what I'm saying? Deal with it. Maybe it's because you get a vagina I'm saying this. Who knows? You never know. Okay? Starbucks is a great company. All right?
There's a lot of corporate ladder at Starbucks.
Grande cinnamon dolce latte. You better not put too much cinnamon on that bitch when I go and order it. All right? No whipped cream. Get off Twitter. It's not good for you. And you definitely owe your white knight buddy that lost his job a BJ. And not because you're a girl.
No. Even
Sorry
if you were
for
a
your
dude.
loss.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It is.
Yeah,
There is no sympathy here, and I hold no sympathy in general for people like this anymore. I refuse I refuse to give them any quarter when it comes to this shit. I don't give a fuck. They come at me.
I don't feel bad, man. Listen, if I fuck up, dude,
you just own the shit.
Fuck up, dude, I say some dumb shit. All right, I've lost money because of my mouth many of times. All right, one time in particular, I won't even get into it because I don't want to throw the company under the bus. But one specific time, I said something on Twitter that apparently not more than half the world agrees with, or at least half America agrees with, had to do with Donald Trump. I said something about Donald Trump, and this one company canceled my sponsorship that I was making some money off of because I called Donald Trump, what did I say? He's a piece of shit. Something like that.
That's pretty tame, bro.
And that's very tame, all right? And I lost money for running my mouth. Did I go on Twitter and complain and say, listen, motherfuckers, you got me because I'm black. You know, you did it because I'm black. You did it because this, you did it because that. No, I understood. If I go on Twitter and I run my mouth about something and I'm representing something that is bigger than me or another company, and they have certain things that they abide by, even though I may not agree with it, there's repercussions for my actions. And that cost me several $1,000s. Would I take it back? No, because I'm not going to change who I am as a person for money. I'm just not going to do that. But if I'm going to sign with a company or whatever, and they've got certain guidelines, I better be prepared to follow those guidelines or deal with the repercussions. And guess what, girl? You fucked up. You started cussing out your customers. You can't do that. If you're a man, a woman, you don't know what you are yet, some other type of pronoun, verb, adjective, I don't know what the fuck. It's all the same. You can't do it. And so there's no sympathy.
You
listen,
disrupt your job, you're gonna get fucked up.
Listen, on the real, I know I throw some shade and it's jokes, okay? Some of it's a little real, but I'm going to
clarify. I'm not joking. You're going to work at Starbucks or Vice.
Okay, well, there you go. Listen, I never root for somebody's downfall. Okay, somebody lost their job. 2 people lost their job. You know, I don't know what their financial situation is. I don't know what their family situation is. That's never something to celebrate. Okay, somebody lost their job, and that I feel for whoever it is, even if it is a moment of weakness. We all make mistakes, but if you're gonna double down and you're gonna come on to Twitter after the fact, and you're not gonna shut up and you're gonna keep this going, now you deserve more so than before the reaction that you're getting, not only from this panel, but probably from the thousands of people that are out there on Reddit and Twitter and whoever. You deserve it. Listen, it sucks. You lost your job, but this is the real world. You just can't go around and spewing a bunch of shit because you're angry or frustrated with your job or you have writer's block. You have to deal with it in your own way. Go fucking pay a shrink $150 an hour. It's a lot cheaper than losing your job over some nutcase. Listen, I tell people all the time to go fuck themselves. I did it the other week to some stupid fucking, better watch my language, some girl that ran her mouth. I told her to go fuck off and something about my long dick or some shit. Didn't even know she was a girl. She's fucking there complaining. And she went on Twitter and tried to make me look like some chauvinistic pig or whatever. I told her to shut the fuck up. You know why I can say shut the fuck up? Because nobody owns me. I can say whatever the fuck I want to say, and worst case scenario, I'm going to offend a few followers.
And you're going to deal with the consequences.
And I'm going to deal with the consequences of that. You, on the other hand, are employed by a company that has millions of fans. You're just one small piece of the army, and you're not important. You can be replaced, and you probably already are replaced. So you don't have that luxury. So unless you're writing for Blizzard for 15 years and you're sitting with your fucking maxed out 401k and you've got $500,000 sitting in your checkings account and you've got a fucking place in LA and one over in fucking Cuba on an island somewhere, then you ought to shut your mouth. If not, Starbucks or Vice.
What about I'm seeing some actual like productive commentary from chat here. Possibly the Culling too. They might be hiring. They need to turn that game around.
They need to turn it around.
Turn it around. I mean, they probably need that woman's touch.
It's sad, man. It's sad. And yet, what happened with this guy? This guy, I bet you, is not on Twitter.
Who's
running
talking
his mouth.
about Freeze? Who's talking about him? Nobody. Nobody's given him fucking in-depth interviews on like Kotaku and every other fuckboy friggin' article bullshit website that exists in gaming anymore. He's not out there running his mouth like all get out on Twitter constantly. He's not saying it's because he's some sort of minority, mostly because he's not, and yet nobody's talking about that because
nobody cares.
That's
not even
sexy.
what's important. Like,
it's not sexy to be like, oh, I'm sorry, oh, a white, you know, a white male,
Irish.
A white straight male lost his job. Oh, what a fucking shame that is.
Boo-hoo.
Oh, but the girl lost his job. Oh, well, fuck me. Holy shit. Now we got to talk about it. Now it's a real problem. Holy shit. All the oppression, all the fucking inequality, all the everything. Let's just pump this shit up.
I'm surprised that she didn't say, oh, and the CEO shook my hand for 3 extra seconds on my way out.
Hey, Jessica.
And I consider that harassment.
Take a fucking note from your used-to-be co-worker who literally fell on a fucking sword for your dumb ass. He's keeping his mouth shut, his lips sealed, so that he can continue getting work somewhere else.
Yeah.
Who in the shit is going to want to pick up your ass after going to publication after publication and social media post after social media post, tearing strips off of
shit.
And put there? Who wants to risk that shit with you? You might be an actual decent fucking writer for all anyone knows, but nobody's going to take the risk. If the risk is, well, we get a pretty competent writer, but we also risk she runs her mouth, we have to fire her, and then she just goes on a fucking tirade for the next 2 months about how it all happened, which is exactly why I reiterate you're going to work at Starbucks or fucking Vice. That's why, because the only people that are going to want to take your ass up. And again, you're probably going to complain about that too. Nobody wants to hire me because I'm a fucking woman. No, nobody wants to hire your ass because you run your fucking mouth and you're insane. That's the two fucking reasons. And that's just, oh, it drives me nuts. It's kind of like it's like when this whole movement talks about women, you know, having to fight for their rights and men never had to fight for their rights. Panic, I don't know how much American history you know, but just a shot in the dark. Do you remember how most of this shit went down, even for males in the States, for a good chunk of time? When it came to voting, for example, do you have enough of history in the back of your mind for that? Let me fill you in on a little bit, because the Canadian's got it in the back of his mind for how it went down in America. All right, for a long while, unless you own, I'm
gonna make you shut up so I can explain it, because I'm the goddamn American.
All right,
here.
go for it,
America.
Go for it.
Right?
You got it?
Yeah.
All right, go.
Yeah, you had to be for the longest time. You had to be one of them well-bred white male land-owning Americans.
Landowners specifically. You could be a
Landowners.
you could be a relatively well-off white male with no land and not be able to fucking vote.
Yeah. You had to own land, motherfucker. That's when you get to vote.
Yeehaw.
And then eventually they're like, you know what? We should probably just let white men vote, because, you know, there's
but what happened? What had to happen in between them not doing that and doing that?
Yeah, I'm not that well versed in that for a while.
Okay, well, a bunch of dudes had to start killing each other, is basically what happened.
Oh, okay. Great. Death had to ensue.
Yeah.
When did that death ensue? Because that wasn't 1776, that wasn't 1812.
Listen, there's too much history going on here, boys. I actually don't give a fuck. She lost her job.
It's just the
She's a girl.
It's just the idea.
Just to put it in perspective, this is what Peter Freese has been doing on Twitter for the past couple of days.
What do we got?
He's been talking a lot about cool things that have been happening in space. He's been posting tons of videos of him playing with his dog and his daughter. He's been talking about the weather. He's been posting memes about when people ask how he's holding up a week later. The only thing that he said in response to the getting fired thing was, good morning to everyone except these people. And then he posted a couple like tweets of people being mean to him on Twitter. And then that was it. He's just going about his business being like, all right.
Again,
this guy's trying to get rehired. He's just like, you know what? This shit will boil over. They're gonna call me.
Take some notes.
They're gonna call
talking
me
about space and shit.
Instead of a 25 thread long Twitter post about some shit,
talking about space and science and cool shit.
25 pages on why you should be doing what Peter's doing right now. Instead, would be really neato.
So we'll end this here in the comment section below. I want to see.
Oh, I just want.
if you're listening to us on YouTube.
Yeah, go ahead, and then I'll ask my thing. Yeah.
All right. Only want one word answer in the comments below. Starbucks or Vice? That's it. Should be the thumbnail too.
It'll be that is exactly what the thumbnail is going to be. So my question is, on a scale of 1 to 100 in terms of a percentage.
Can you have the culling in there somehow with Starbucks and Vice?
We'll try and make it happen. I promise nothing. How was the company 100% in the right with what they did, or could they have tackled this situation differently, in your opinion?
So as one of the people who has spent his entire career working in various levels of corporate stuff, I'm going to say no. Unfortunately, with the way the climate is right now, it's what we talked about earlier. What should have happened in a reasonable world is they both got pulled into an office. They both got a sit down and a talking to about what, conduct and policy, and a refresher on that. And then possibly, maybe suspension or something, but in a reasonable time, they shouldn't have gotten fired. But with the way media and everything is now, and especially with the way they kind of doubled down on the whole situation, no, there really wasn't anything else the company could do. Like, they saw the fever pitch that the community was going into. The people in question acted extremely unprofessionally and inappropriately. In what could possibly be a gray area, but at the end of the day, they had identified themselves as employees of the company. They were known to represent the values and the beliefs of the company, both in and out. Regardless on if you agree with it or not, that's the norm. If you work for a company, whatever you say or do is expected, partially as a belief of that company. So they had no choice but to come down and say, no, it is not acceptable for you to belittle, berate, curse out, or in other ways disparage the community. These are the people that we do this for. You can't do what you did. So yeah, they had to fire them.
What about you, Jeff?
I just don't care anymore. I actually just don't care. I've talked about this for way too long. I don't care if they salvaged her career or they just axed her. You know what? Part of me says people deserve second chances, and the nice guy in me would say, she gets a slap on the wrist, she takes some time off, relax, explains to the CEO why she should still be there if she's having such a hard time or what. I don't know. But judging by her reaction, it was probably the right decision. It's probably the type of person that they're dealing with. Probably isn't the first time she said something negative inside the office or out. This might have been an out for them. Who knows? But I don't really give a shit. But she just definitely showed her colors. Not only when she mentioned the female thing, and then again after she got fired, once again about female. I think they made the right decision. They could have given her a second chance. Could have went either way. I don't think they would have lost any fans in the long run anyway. But hey, who knows? I don't run a big company like that, so I don't give a shit. She's at Starbucks or Vice. I don't care. Or she's working on Guild Wars 2. I don't care.
I agree. I agree that if this, I agree with mostly with what both of you said. I certainly care. I don't necessarily care about this specific situation so much as I care about how prolific this type of situation is fucking becoming. Is more of what I'm interested in. But that actually is specifically the reality. Is that for both of these individuals, if this was the year 2012, none of this happens.
Yep.
First of all, she probably wouldn't even said that shit to begin with, because it would have been 2012 and nobody was, or very few people were pulling the woman card every 5 fucking seconds on social media. However, even if she did, the company at that point in that social climate would have had the space publicly to be able to reel her in, bring her in, sit her down, explain to her why what she's doing is a no-go, no-fly zone, and then go from there. And if she does it again, then she gets axed. But unfortunately, it's not 2012. It's the year 2018. And if a fly shits in Africa and the shit isn't the proper color, people get upset about it and call it racist. So you have to really be on top of what your company espouses, and by proxy, your employees kind of are involved with how that plays out to the general public. And like the CEO said, she had labeled herself several times as a member of the writing team at ArenaNet for Guild Wars 2. And at that point, she had to be held accountable regardless of whether or not she thought she was on a private account. And again, because it's 2018, there is no wiggle room. So it's a situation.
Harsh lesson to learn, but
and she has
it's a
to
lesson. Hopefully, she learned,
has to live with
but
it.
Doesn't seem like it.
So yeah, it's the way she goes. But all the best in your Starbucks career. I'm sure you'll do wonders.
Just fine.
Mr. Black, hit me up with a little bit of TV and movies.
Movies and TV and movies.
Did you see anything on the flights when you were up in the air? Any decent movies on the flight?
I actually watched. I watched two movies. Both like WestJet movies they had on there.
Okay.
First one was the Greatest Showman, the Hugh Jackman musical. I low-key loved it.
Okay.
And then I saw.
Was it because of Hugh Jackman, or was the rest of the movie actually also pretty good?
I liked it.
I heard it was really good.
Yeah, I liked it. Hugh Jackman's just awesome in everything he touches.
That was like the Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey thing, right?
Yes.
Barnum.
Yes. And it was really good. It was just about the circus and them starting up a circus. And it was about and there was a lot of that sort of getting back on the whole like Me Too movement and stuff. It was a lot of talk about sort of maybe transgender and overweight and weird looking people that are just different. And there was this like social message behind it, but it wasn't like hammered down your head about how like, everybody's unique, but they're not freaks. Like, they're their own people and they have a place. Which was, it was a good message behind the movie. The music was good. The songs were good. Hugh Jackman was great. Even what's his face? Guy with 30 abs.
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron was good. It was just a really good time. I even like teared up at a couple of times, like as I was, because I got sucked into the movie and I just felt for some of the characters, and it was nice. Like it was a good, enjoyable movie. I wasn't about to cry on no plane, but I was feeling it. I had those goosebumps. I was like, oh fuck, okay, this is what I'm sitting. I was not expecting this. Okay, so that was good.
Good.
And then I watched sort of the complete opposite. Was it Geostorm or Geo something with what's his face from 300?
Gerard Butler?
Yeah, that's it. Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler starring in all about be careful there, Cheney. All about climate change and how everybody ignored the rise in temperatures and humans fucked up the atmosphere and all this other shit. Now the world is getting these crazy storms, super hot weather, super cold weather, tornadoes, you name it. It's basically like disaster porn. And they created this dome or this sort of a net in space that went over the globe, and they had the technology to shoot these things down on storms so that they could control the weather, so that there was no longer crazy hurricanes and crazy heat, and they could bring the world to where it needed to be at all places, so that people weren't dying and shit. And then of course in shitty B-rated type action, somebody wanted to use it as a weapon, and it gets in the wrong hands, and now they're blowing shit up, and they're fucking killing Afghanis, and they're freezing certain parts of the world, and they're creating all these huge things until the point where there could be the geostorm, which would end the world. And can they get the codes back? And can they fix this machine? And shit movie. Absolute shit. 4 out of 10.
Oh, it's Gerard Butler, who, other than doing 300, hasn't really done a movie worth watching since.
Yeah.
And arguably before.
Mm.
I think he just lucked out that 300 was a pretty easy role for him outside of having to spend countless hours in the gym to get ripped. And that was pretty much the show for him. So yeah, that's not overly.
So yeah, I saw that on the plane, and then I saw Ant-Man 2 2 days ago.
How did that go over?
I loved it. I liked it a lot more than the first one, like twice as much as the first one.
They did some interesting advertising for that. It was like they were trying to be Deadpool, but like not as edgy as Deadpool.
Yeah, it's nowhere near Deadpool. Nowhere near.
Oh, I didn't mean the movie. I just meant the way they were advertising it, like the really like random non sequitur type shit like they were doing with Deadpool. So I was like, what are they going for here? It's kind of
No, it was good. I liked it. There was no like real villain in the movie. Like there were kind of people in the way. One of them was a little cartoony, but not over the top cartoony. It was just the right. And then there was another person that you see in the trailers that they were kind of against, kind of not.
So it was pretty much 2018 Armageddon.
For the Ant-Man?
Oh, not Ant-Man. Oh, I thought you were talking about the Geostorm.
No, that Geo shit, nowhere near as good as fucking Armageddon. But yeah, no, it wasn't bad. And you know what? I actually liked. There's a really good post credit scene that kind of tied in with Avengers. And then also what was cool is, and also this movie took place before the events of Avengers Age of Ultron, Infinity War.
This was like between Civil War and whatever, like after like they had been in prison and they were like going stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and it picked up basically right after that. But it was good. I like the fact that they didn't really have a real villain. Like there was action set pieces and stuff, and it was cool. But there was no real villain, because I feel like if they did have a villain, right after we just got Infinity War and we just got Thanos, that any villain, like real threat, would have just felt like child's play. It just wouldn't have felt right. So I love the fact that they had conflict, and there was definitely that. But it wasn't. They didn't make some big baddie or some huge threat. It fit nicely.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of comedy. It was well paced. It was just a lot of fun, and it made me like Ant-Man a lot more. It reminded me, because at the first Ant-Man movie, I didn't really care for the character all that much. I was like, I think Ant-Man's kind of stupid. I'm not really identifying with this character. It's like, yeah, Paul Rudd's is a funny guy, and I mean, he's likable, but I don't really care. Like, I don't care like I do the other guys. This one really set up nicely to care about the character a lot more. We get to see more relationship with him and his daughter, and also there's a lot more with his daughter in this, because rumor is that the daughter will be in the new Avengers, and she's gonna, because there's a character for her in the comics, so we got to see her a lot more, and they're really setting a few things up. But beyond that, I had a good time. I actually had more fun. Oh, it's close. Ooh, I almost said it. I almost had I would say I had as much fun in Ant-Man 2 as I did Deadpool 2.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that Deadpool post-credit scene was
the
best thing I've ever seen in movies, in Marvel movies, when it comes to just funny. But it was good. It was good.
Awesome. I think I watched it after last podcast. I can't remember, but I'll state it again anyway, because we're on the Marvel kick. Because I finally got to, Gabs and I sat down and watched Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, that was I love Thor Ragnarok.
And my takeaway from Thor Ragnarok was it's the best Marvel movie that's been made.
That
I've seen. In terms of enjoyment, like I'm not
that Rock character is so funny.
Well, yeah,
that's the director.
he fucking
Yeah,
nailed
yeah,
it, right?
dude, he's fucking comical.
But the thing that did it for, well, the thing, if I reviewed it objectively, I might question the tone of the movie, being
It was very Guardians.
yeah,
Very
being
Guardians.
too
Let's just call it a
weighted,
draw.
being too weighted before the towards the humor side, and not enough towards the fact that they're fighting the goddess of fucking death, and all this shit's going on, and you know their planet is gonna have to there's some heavy shit that goes down in that movie, and at no point did it really get particularly heavy outside of the scene with Odin on the cliffside.
Yeah.
Outside of that scene, it was like watching a comedy. There was no real, even when Gila was on screen, everything was a fucking comedy. So
they felt that because the first two movies were like stupid serious.
Yeah.
But like
Dark World. Ugh.
Yeah, like you can tell that the actors kind of actually were a little out of their element, because like in the Avengers movies, Thor was actually pretty funny, and like he was a lighthearted, airy guy. Like you didn't quite understand that, not everyone is a god like him. So, this one, they kind of realized that, okay, yeah, we can still do a lot of serious stuff, but we need to play to the actor's strengths, we need to play to the character's strengths, and they found that people like a funny Thor. So they put that in the movie super well.
They just if I was trying to be critical about it, I would just say the dial could be turned back ever so slightly. Like I think there could have been some an increased number of weighty scenes versus just being all humor all the fucking time. Which, from an entertainment perspective, I was laughing the whole way through the fucking movie. I thought it was fantastic. It was only afterwards I sat down and thought about it, and I went, "Wait a minute! This for what happened in this movie, that was an awfully. I spent an awful lot of time just laughing at what was going on."
They just went the Guardians of the Galaxy route, man. They literally made Thor.
So I liked it more than Guardians
of the Galaxy.
I liked it more than Guardians.
I did. I liked it. Ooh, yeah. I mean, I'd have to see it again because it's not really fresh. I definitely liked it more than the second Guardians, but the first Guardians is so funny that I don't know. But I would say Thor Ragnarok is definitely in my top 5 of Marvel movies ever.
It seemed like there was so much ad-libbing that happened in that, especially Jeff Goldblum. I don't actually think they handed him a script. I actually think they just put him out and just said, all right, this is the general idea for this scene. Go nuts. And then that was just what he did.
The post-credit scene for Jeff Goldblum in that movie was absolutely hysterical.
Fuck. It was awesome. But I mean, I got to give it to Hemsworth. He funny dude. The motherfucker's a funny guy. Like his comedic timing
is on point.
Like that when he does the not when I do this, and he like covers his face up. I was like, that's the dumbest shit that he could have fucking done, but it was so perfect, and the timing was so. He even looked at the fucking camera for like a hot second. If you pay attention to that scene, he breaks the fourth wall. It's as if he's saying, I know this is fucking stupid, but watch me do it anyway. And he fucking covers his face up. And it was almost like that was an unscripted thing. And if it was, it's even better. But his timing was amazing.
Yeah, dude. That's why he's going to do well with Men in Black. He's like perfect casting. And he's with that chick, the black chick. They're co-starring with each other.
From Thor?
She was in Thor Ragnarok too, right?
From Thor, the one the
Valkyrie,
the Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're co-stars in this new Men in Black, and that was like the big controversy thing where they're like, they're saying, well, the Marvel was like, what the fuck, and now apparently they're going to be implementing clauses in these contracts that the stars are not allowed to co-star and star with other people in the Marvel movies outside of Marvel, because they're using that star power that they built in the movie to boost another movie. And if that other movie bombs, then it's going to leave a stain on the new up and coming movies that they're in, where they're going, dude, what the fuck? I can't get this shit performance out of my head, and it's going to ruin what else is going on. So like that was like a big fuckery that was good that Marvel was going on with I think Sony or whoever's got, but they might be owning them soon.
I will say that You know when we all talked about how in Star Wars the scene where the ship gets split in half,
Yeah.
that
Well, light speed
and
jump.
and how crazy of a fucking scene that was, how beautiful it looked, and just how epic that was.
Yeah.
Equal to, and I haven't decided yet if I liked it even more, but the slow motion scene where it's the Valkyries fighting Gila, where it's like a tapestry and you're looking like at a moving tapestry, it's slow motion and the HDR is like fucking through the roof and everything's just crazy. That was one of the
There's
sexiest.
a whole bunch of shit going on in the background. Like
It's
people
so
getting fucked.
much. It was like looking at a classical painting because there was so much going on everywhere. You'd almost have to watch that, even if it was in slow motion. You almost have to watch it 10 times just to fucking catch everything that's happening.
Yeah.
That I might have liked that even more than the jump to light speed through
there were some nice
through the ship.
some nice shots in that. And what was nice too is too bad you didn't watch Ragnarok before you did Infinity War because
Yeah.
because you get to see him use the lightning power and stuff like that. And
beforehand, yeah.
And then when you see him come back with the fucking Stormbreaker and he comes in, you're like, oh, and you see it again, and he's got his eye back or like a fake eye or whatever. It just all just kind of came together.
You're waiting for it. You're waiting for it.
You knew like he was gonna come and he was gonna fucking smash melon heads. And he did just that. The payoff was just great, especially seeing him go through what he did in Ragnarok. It just made it that much better. Good movie.
Yeah. Oh,
good movie.
It's great.
They're trying to get him to do a fourth Thor, so he's not signed on for any of it.
His contract's over.
Yeah, his contract's over. They're trying to get him to stay on board. One of what's funny that I found out, Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, so Nick Fury. He's gonna be co-starring in Captain Marvel. Okay,
right, yeah,
so he is gonna be digitally aged from start to finish. So
younger.
back in the 90s. So he's gonna kind of look like he did in like fucking Pulp Fiction or some shit, right? And they did that and the same thing in Ant-Man. In Ant-Man, they did at the beginning of the movie. You'll see it when you go to the second one. They digitally de-aged them. And apparently it looks great, but in Ant-Man it looked great. But anyway, Samuel's supposed to do that.
Same thing to Clark Gregg also.
Yes, same two characters. What's his face? The
Coulson.
agent Shield. Yeah, that guy and Samuel, both of them. So anyway, I found this out, which I was surprised. So the second highest paid Marvel guy is Samuel Jackson. So he gets paid apparently almost as much as Robert Downey Jr. And
he's
Marvel,
on screen for like 4 minutes a movie.
I know. Yeah. So apparently his rates are fucking astronomical. And Marvel and Nick Fury is such a big part of like pivotal. the Marvel universe that they don't have him show up much. So they try and pay him because his rates are fucking stupid apparently. So that's why you only see him in movies for like 5 minutes, and apparently they paid him a fuck ton of money for this Captain Marvel movie, and
to boot up new heroes.
And people love him so much, and he's such an integral part of the Marvel universe, like getting characters together. And, and he's got he's
the glue.
Part.
He's the glue that brings like binds everyone.
So they still won't get rid of him. So so he's gonna be slated for like a bunch more movies. And I was surprised because I was thinking, okay, maybe he shows up and they pay him like $1 million to be in a movie.
No.
He's in there for 5 minutes. Apparently this guy's fucking salary to show up is through the roof. So I was like, whoa, okay, all right, Sam, you do you, Sam.
He's
crazy. Getting paid. Yeah.
I can't believe that. That's actually kind of nuts. I mean, I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it.
Paid or some shit.
I wouldn't put it past
Samuel
L. Jackson at all to do that. I wouldn't put it past him to do that. But I mean, to have the nuts to go all in and be like, all right, I know you need me. I'm going to be in this movie for 5 minutes. You're going to pay me $35 million.
I don't know what his rates are, but apparently his rates are pretty fucking stupid.
His rate isn't a flat dollar thing. He got a similar deal to what Downey Jr. did for the original Iron Man, because they kind of had to go in on not knowing if they were going to do well or not. so he gets a percentage of whatever movie he's in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Samuel L. Jackson's like, if you want my
Him and Downey
motherfucker
Jr. get it
in
right
this-
off the top.
Yeah.
Oh, Robert Downey's just making. I mean,
Yeah,
that
they
guy
make
is
it off the
just-
top.
He's like
Yeah.
50 mil a pop.
Yeah, he was getting. He was. I think in the last Iron Man, he got paid $50 million. Just flat out 50 mil, and then whatever he's making on, whatever.
Here's an honest question for you guys, and somebody brought this up in chat, and I don't disagree with them. What are your honest to God thoughts about Samuel L. Jackson as an actor? Do you really is Samuel L. Jackson a good fucking actor, or is Samuel L. Jackson just good at saying motherfucker for his entire career? Because my take, I'll let you give, before I ask you guys, I'll give you what my take is. I think it's one of the most overrated. Here's the joke: overrated motherfuckers to have done movies in my lifetime. I think people talk him up way too much. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's got any range, and I don't think he brings much to the movies he's in.
I think he's a character actor.
Mhm.
He plays a very specific character extraordinarily well. Like I love him in Tarantino movies. Like I loved him in Hateful Eight. He was fantastic in that movie.
Oof, he was so
like
good.
so like when so like that's my
Django
counter argument to
Unchained?
yours. Yeah,
So
like
good.
your argument is sound. Like he doesn't have range. But personally, I think for every bad movie he's done, or actually probably 2 or 3 bad movies he's done, there's something like Hateful Eight, Django. Like he's got some phenomenal movies.
I think Samuel L. Jackson is really good at phoning it in. And
Yeah.
even his phone in
Snakes on a
is
plane.
enjoyable. Like you're just like, it's fucking Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson's a better actor than Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a better actor than
I hope so.
than like Jason Statham. He's a better
Yeah.
actor than The Rock.
Yep.
He's a better actor than a lot of Kevin Hart and other
He can act.
comedic. Samuel L. Jackson can act.
Yeah.
He just picks a lot of roles that he can phone in and get a paycheck, and he's just that good motherfucker. Like it's hard. He's got a niche down that it's just nice. But then when he wants to do something meaty with
Like
a Tarantino film,
yeah.
he can deliver the chops. I mean, he just can. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson has got a good track record. It's just he does a lot of movies. He's like, it's like saying the same argument for what's his face, other black guy with all the freckles and the deep voice, fucking
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. It's the same thing. Morgan Freeman can act. He just phones in a lot of fucking shit all the
Adam
time.
Sandler's it. He's like,
He
I can
takes-
get a paycheck for doing a movie for cheap. Why
Yeah,
not?
Why am I going to give an Oscar performance in this B-rated movie that needs a black guy that has a decent draw? Like it's like even Samuel L. Jackson in King Kong or whatever, or Kong or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just the phone in. It's just Samuel L. Jackson doing Samuel L. Jackson. So yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, especially if you haven't watched enough Samuel L. Jackson movies, like the good ones. I can see like where you're coming from, and you're not totally wrong. Like he's phoned it in a lot. But I would say like once every 3 years, we get like a good Samuel L. Jackson performance. And also he's got the new one coming out with the M. Night Shyamalan, the Glass or whatever it is. He's got
They're
that-
doing the Unbreakable.
It's already-
the other side.
It's already filmed. So
Yeah.
him, Bruce Willis, and what's his face? From
James
Split.
McAvoy.
Yeah, McAvoy. I'm sure he's going to do a great job in that because it's a character. It's not. We're not going to have one of those
Dude,
it's Samuel Jackson, motherfucker.
His
You know-
Ira Glass was amazing. Like he played that character really well in Unbreakable. I completely forgot about that one.
Yeah, so he can do it. It's just he's got to have the right material,
Yeah,
and the right motive.
I want to clarify that I just think he's overrated because he obviously has roles where he played, like you said, he's a character actor and he plays.
But I don't
very
even think
well.
he's overrated because nobody puts him at a high standard.
I see a lot of people put him outside of being a character actor. Like I think unless you're a movie buff, there's a lot of people that talk about Samuel L. Jackson as just being a high profile, actor, because that's essentially what he's painted himself into a corner positively for. But it just
He's not even really a name that's brought up. Like is not like whenever you talk about top A-list actors or really anybody in the movie business, Samuel L. Jackson just never is really in contention for anything notable, except when he does come out and he does a great performance. We all we all like stop and applaud like Samuel's performance.
Well
We're like, fuck yeah, Samuel, okay. And then when we see Samuel, it's like Morgan Freeman. It's like, oh, it's Morgan Freeman doing Morgan.
He's
Samuel
God
Jackson,
again.
Samuel L. Jackson. It's not gonna suck, but it is what it is. It's just sometimes you take a second and go, wait a second, Samuel L. Jackson can act, and this guy can do his thing. He's not just Snakes on a Plane. He's not just whatever shitty, decent, or even okay action. He's never really in shitty movies. He's just in a lot of like movies that you just forget about the next day. So
he's in A movie. He's in a lot of A movies, not AAA, but just A.
Yeah. He's just in some good movies or some pretty mediocre movies, and he always does a good job. Even in Star Wars, right? He's like Samuel L. Jackson. He's like, you know what, motherfucker? If you want me to do this movie, I want a purple lightsaber. Like, okay, you can have a purple lightsaber,
like
Samuel.
Snakes on a Plane. He signed on to that movie because like when they gave him the script's title was Snakes on a Plane. But then they had changed the title to like Terror on the Pacific or whatever.
He's like, nah,
and he's like, no. I signed on to this movie called Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah.
And that's why he got it. That's the most ridiculous thing ever.
When Samuel wants, Samuel gets.
Yeah.
Speaking of mediocre movies, RoboCop is getting a remake with Blomkamp as a director. Yeah, there you go. What do we think about that? I don't. Okay, so the attempted reboot. So we're rebooting a reboot.
No, we're rebooting. It's RoboCop 2. So it's not a reboot.
Okay.
It's a sequel to the original RoboCop.
Okay.
And they're making it as if the actual RoboCop 2 doesn't exist.
Okay.
So they're redoing the second RoboCop.
Because what happened was they did RoboCop, which was done by Simon Verhoeven. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And that was a very dark and gritty. That was like the one that everyone remembers. But then Verhoeven didn't come back for the remaining RoboCops. Like they pretty much just like franchise milked it, which is why you got the really shitty 2, 3, and 4, plus a couple of really. I would say some of the TV series were actually kind of okay.
I actually liked the newest RoboCop. I'm actually going to just say I liked it.
So I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm not going to agree with you also. I liked the styling and how they did the new movie, but the problem was, and this happens a lot. I was thinking about this while I was on the shitter yesterday because I saw the article and I was like, really excited. Yeah. So what ended up happening was, the original RoboCop was really dark, but it had a lot of social commentary and there was a lot of stuff going on. So that's part of the reason why it like held on, because you had a lot of like social commentary with like how media was portrayed, how people were portrayed, race relations, Detroit, all of this stuff was kind of very artfully put together in this sci-fi robot cop movie. And then what happened, I think, and part of the reason why I didn't like the new one was they took all the trappings of RoboCop, robotic cop, all what happened in the story, and they took the basic premise of it, and then they wrapped it in a lot of like CGI and special effects and putting it together. But they kind of missed the heart of the film that Verhoeven had put in the first one. Like it was missing like the important commentary and the critique and like it was just hitting plot points for this is what RoboCop was. Yeah. Like someone had watched the original movie and kind of looked at it and were like, oh, we can do that now with all the cool effects. But they missed kind of like the deeper commentary and the symbolism and what had happened in the original. So this one, the new one that they're doing, they got the District 9 director.
Yeah, Neil Blomkamp. I mean, listen, his last 2 movies sucked balls.
But he grew up on RoboCop.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, if there's a guy that can do it, it's probably going to be Neil, okay? Because he's got that he's a sci-fi director. It's what he does, okay? He came out with District 9. It's one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever to do it. I mean, I was like, I stroked the dick of District 9. I have the Blu-ray out there. I've watched that like 6-7 times. He had awesome actors. He had a great message. There was a bunch of social commentary in it. The way he did the CGI and the mech, and it was on a small budget.
Like browbeat you.
Yeah, and then he was supposed to do Halo, and then that got fucked. And then he did Elysium, was just like a fuck you to Halo, and he just did his own thing, and that fucking bombed. And that movie was originally supposed to be for Eminem, and then Eminem didn't have time to do it and he didn't want to make time because they wouldn't do it in Detroit. And Eminem was saying, I'm only going to film it if we're going to do it in Detroit. And he said, well, we can't do it in Detroit. So that was that. And then they got fucking what's his face,
Damon.
Matt Damon to do it. The movie was just pretty shit. And then they came up with Chappie, and Chappie was a pile of assholes. It was like a pile of fucking bolts and shit and dumps.
Oh,
And
don't
now
say
they're
that
gonna-
because Gab's, that's like one of Gab's favorite movies.
I like
Like,
Chappie,
that.
but it wasn't a good movie. Chappie
not
was not a
good
good
at
movie,
all.
but I enjoyed
God.
watching it.
Jesus Christ. So you know, I get it. Chappie, okay, sure,
cute,
bad
cutesy.
movie,
Cutesy.
cutesy. That's it. It's not for me. And now we've got RoboCop, and
But they got Verhoeven back on it. They at least have his original script.
they do, and they went back to his original script. They probably
They're
changed
rewriting
a few
it.
things.
They're not.
rewriting-
They're doing a rewrite on it, but they're keeping the premise. So
That's
like,
what I heard. Yes,
I'm
but
okay
you
with
know
that.
what? I'm gonna be honest. I really don't care about RoboCop. I don't think many people care about RoboCop.
They just want a
I thought
franchise.
the reboot was well done to a degree. Obviously, I mean, there's things wrong with it, but it was a fun movie. It reminded me of like the new Metal Gear Solid with the fucking ninja suits and going
Mhm.
around and cutting people up and shit. What I wish Neil would do, and not I listen, RoboCop come out, sure. I mean, it's probably gonna flop. Honest to God, it's probably not gonna do very well. But anyway, I think that he and the best RoboCop, in my opinion, is a RoboCop that isn't even RoboCop. Okay, there's one movie out there, and see if you guys can guess what it is. I know Adam probably won't, but you might be able to guess it. There's one sci-fi movie out there that got remade several years ago. Came out, it was incredible. In my opinion, it was incredible. It was fun. I think that movie is the RoboCop that we already got, and we don't need it. We don't need a RoboCop. What we need another one of this movie. Oh, somebody already said it in chat, motherfucker. Judge Dredd. I think Dredd, the newest Judge Dredd that came out.
Oh, Carl Urban.
Yes. I thought Dredd was incredible.
I don't want any more.
law.
I don't want any. I don't want Dread movies. I want a Dread Netflix series.
I want more Dredd. Like
That's why I want
fuck
Dread Netflix
RoboCop.
series. Don't give me a movie.
Neil Blomkamp Dredd, and let him make a Dredd movie that's like the other one. Put some more sci-fi elements of it in it without it
Carl
just being
Urban
in
in
the
there.
one tower, and make it happen, dude.
Urban
Dredd was
pretty much
like
said, "I will do Dread at the drop of a hat. You tell me
Dude.
you're gonna do Dread, I will drop everything and come over."
Dredd was. Adam, if you haven't seen the new Dredd, dude,
I've seen bits. I saw bits and pieces of it at one point. I
it's-
haven't seen the whole thing.
it's the show. It's the show.
I saw the
It's like
original. I saw the
watching-
original.
Yes.
shit.
Carl
I mean,
Urban
that one's
kills
the
the
original
show.
one's decent.
Yeah.
I actually like the second one a lot more than the original.
Yeah.
The it was like watching The Raid, but in a sci-fi badass, like just going. It's basically Adam. It's him starting at the bottom of a massive tower and working his way up and killing and fucking people. Like it from bottom to the boss at top, and everybody's using this drug called like what was it?
Properly in the
What was-
bounds of the law. He was doing it.
Yes, and he'd be like, he's like, yeah, you're broken code 22785. He's like, you need to go to, and if you don't comply, you're dead, right? And they do stupid shit and they fuck him up. But they did this thing. I don't know if it's called STEM or whatever it was fucking
It was
called.
something.
But
Some like 80s
It's this
future drug.
dude. It's this crazy drug, and they would shoot this drug, and everything would be in slow mo. So it was like bullet time for the
It was
Matrix.
called like slow or something.
Slow,
stupid
that's
like
what it
that.
was. It's called
Literally
slow,
just called
dude.
Slow.
Dude, he would walk into a room and somebody would they do that, and then everything would be in slow motion, and the cinematography was just so well done. Like the colors were bright. It was like it looked like Borderlands, but in real life. And just seeing people's heads get blown off and shit in slow mo while they're on the drug, and you could see it in their perspective and shit, dude. It was fucking incredible. I'm talking this movie up right now because
Good
it's
movie.
awesome.
I might
It's
go watch it
awesome.
tonight.
It's awesome. And fuck RoboCop. Make a Dredd. Like Dredd had to have made money. That shit
I
was
think they're
so
working
good.
on it.
Ah, God,
I
it
think
was
still
I feel like
working on something
okay. I feel like before this Dread reboot was made, the market for people that wanted to see another Judge Dredd and the market of people who wanted to see another RoboCop were about the same size.
yes.
You're talking about two not particularly high profile but relatively well known 80s movies that aged about as well as I am, which is to say, not well at all. And I don't think anyone. I know when Dread first came out, the new one, and I heard that it was happening. I was like, "Excuse me, we're going back to that fucking movie, seriously," which was probably everyone's reaction to it at the time. And I had the similar reaction to RoboCop. I think that I just think that what happened was Dread got the better. They get
No, Dread actually got horrible marketing. Apparently.
No, I don't mean market. No. I'm not going down that road. I'm just saying that that RoboCop got the short end of the stick as far as how good the movie turned out to be, versus the reboot or the remake or the whatever you want to call it of Dread.
Well, I'm pretty sure RoboCop remake actually made $200 million, which is insane.
RoboCop made a lot of money.
Yeah,
well, I think it actually did. It didn't do like, I think it broke even. Might have broken even or so.
It didn't make as much as they wanted, but it made enough.
Yeah, but yeah, I listen. I just want more Judge
issue,
Dredd or Neil
issue
Blomkamp. Should go and if he's gonna reboot something. Listen, I'm happy he's getting RoboCop because I can kind of see it. But I think if he's gonna reboot something, it should be The Fifth Element. I think he would do a great job.
Are you allowed to redo The Fifth Element?
Oh, but it's Hollywood, man. You can redo it.
Well, I know you can redo whatever the fuck you want to do, but
make a sequel called The Sixth Element.
Are you really allowed to do The Fifth Element again? Like that would be. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it, because I enjoyed The Fifth Element, and I think that it would be. I think that in the world of Guardians of the Galaxy's, sci-fi humor thing, there was a decent chunk of that in The Fifth Element as well, and so I think that plays to what we've got going on now.
Yeah, Valerian. That's actually a good point. Miyagi said Valerian was basically The Fifth Element. Did you see that one, Panic? Valerian?
I wasn't a huge fan. We talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
really liked it.
Yeah.
I was like,
I saw it twice and I loved it.
I was like, I can see why it would be a fun movie, but for me personally, it felt a little bit too contrived. But other than that, it was good popcorn.
Oh, it was so much better than Star Wars Episode 8.
All right, well, if they redo Fifth Element, who plays Corbin?
That's a good question. Jason Statham.
That's too easy. That's like way too easy.
McAvoy.
I think Statham would play a good one.
I don't think Statham has a funny bone in his body.
I was going to give it to McAvoy.
He does. You think McAvoy?
I think he could pull it off.
I think he could pull it off too. Because you need somebody that's not too young, though, right?
Yeah.
But you need somebody that's not too old either.
Who would play Chris Rock's character?
Ooh, Chris Pine's a good one too. Yeah, Chris Pine's a good one.
Any of the Chris's could do it.
Yeah.
Pratt, Pine, Hemsworth.
I don't want to see Pratt do it. I'm getting a little pratted out.
Yeah, I'm getting pratted out too.
I'm getting a little pratted out. He's in a little bit too many blockbusters.
But as to who plays...
Joseph Gordon-Levitt would probably do a good job too.
He's too small.
Nah, I don't think he'd fit as Corbin Dallas.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Statham. I'm going to stick with my first thought. I think Jason Statham would do a good job. Be good, good for action. Be good. He's got the... He's like that right amount of age, I think. Maybe a little older.
Fuck, that is such a good... Who plays Lilu or whatever her name was?
Scarlett Johansson?
No.
Margot Robbie?
Please, God, no.
Jennifer Lawrence.
I think J-Law's a bit overdone. Right now.
I feel like whoever does it has to be mildly exotic looking, because that's what fit in the first place, right?
Yeah.
She was exotic. She wasn't some plain Jane motherfucker. So she needs to be a little exotic.
Jovovich is a little old now. I would have said yes to her like 10 years ago. She might be a little old now.
Ooh, what about
Margot Robbie's? Margot Robbie's probably the best answer yet.
What about Tom Hardy playing fucking Corbin?
Yeah, you could probably do it. I'm still going with Statham, because Statham's... I think there's a bit too much of it. I think Tom Hardy's a little bit too serious. Even like in roles that he's kind of lighter, he's still got that bit too much of a rugged, like too.
What about Alexandra Daddario?
I thought about her.
I love her.
I will never turn down seeing her on screen.
I love her.
But I don't think she's right for that role.
I
haven't
love
seen
her.
Fifth Element in a long time.
Who's playing Chris Tucker's character?
That's what I was going to ask.
Don't
Chris
say
Tucker?
fucking don't.
He hasn't aged.
He probably could. honestly.
Yeah, honest to God, just bring back. Who else does that fucking character than Chris Tucker?
Kevin
Seriously.
Hart. That's about it. But I would not want to see
no,
Kevin Hart.
that
in
would be no.
Donald Glover.
Oh, Donald Glover could play everyone in the movie.
He could
and I'd
play
be
that
okay.
really weird character actor.
He could pull it off for sure.
Yeah.
He could
He'd
pull
just
it
do.
off.
He would just do the This is America dance for the entire movie,
Yeah.
and like that would be good enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, who
No,
plays
no to
the
Kevin Hart.
girl? Fuck, that's a tough question.
I still like Margot Robbie. I think she could play. I mean,
Yeah.
you see what she can do with what's her face, Harley Quinn. She could definitely play an out there character. I
Yes,
also like
yes,
the
that's
Donald Glover.
That is a good. I couldn't see her without face makeup shit on in my mind. But no, I agree with that.
Yeah, she's Margot Robbie, and she's hot as fuck. So I mean, she's got all
She's
all the
even
check
got like the
marks.
same facial structure as the chick who did originally.
very similar.
Too.
Yeah,
That's why
very
it struck
similar.
me. The moment you said, I'm like, no, Margot Robbie could pull that off pretty well.
Yeah. No, yes, 100%. So we got
be
Margot
a cool-
Robbie,
Can you imagine
Chris
Margot
Tucker.
Robbie, another Chris Tucker,
another Chris
Fuck it.
Tucker, bring it back.
Yeah.
And then we're somewhere between Jason Statham and Tom Hardy.
Yeah, directed by Neil Blomkamp. There it is, Fifth Element remake. This actually sounds pretty good. Not gonna lie, it sounds pretty fucking good.
Oh,
I'd watch the shit out of that. I'd be there on the opening Thursday,
yes,
watching that movie.
yes. Who plays Zorg? Oh, ooh, that's the last
Who is
major.
Zorg? Who was Zorg? I don't remember the character.
Zorg was what's his name? Who deserves
Gary
1,000?
Oldman.
Gary Oldman. Yeah, I was gonna say 1,000
Oh, okay.
Oscars, but he only has like one.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
That was who I was thinking the whole
No.
time. Yes, that was exactly who I was thinking of, and not just because I'm on a massive like erection for Jeff Goldblum as of late, but that honest to God, that is.
You know who we would
That's
fucking
it.
get in this day and age? What's that guy? The guy who fucking played the Joker? For 30
No,
Seconds
I
to
gotta-
Mars. We would freaking get him.
Who?
The guy who played Joker. I forgot his name. 30 Seconds
Oh.
toArs guy. Actually.
Oh
singer.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I
got
feel
an
like
even
we'd get
bet-
him.
I've got a better one. This is gonna win.
Somebody said Nicolas Cage.
He's
This
a
is-
good one.
Nicolas Cage. Yeah,
he
he'd
played
be
that
all right.
ridiculous role.
Bryan Cranston,
Oh yeah, he could
He
pull that
plays him.
off.
and he crushes.
Ooh.
Bryan Cranston, man, that's the
I
guy.
feel like Bryan Cranston's a bit old for the role.
No,
But so's
come on.
Jeff Goldblum. I mean, they're both old as
They're
hell.
probably
Yeah.
both in their 50s, right?
I think Jeff Goldblum's in his 60s.
Yeah.
He might be. I think Bryan Cranston crushes it, man. I think Bryan Cranston's the show.
He's 65, Jeff Goldblum. It's just that
Damn,
nobody,
he's aging well.
nobody knows because he's as soon as he won the Sexiest Man Alive back when he did fucking Jurassic Park, he just never stopped being like it was every year for the rest of his life. GQ front and center. He's aging like a champion. It's all that Jewish blood, just keeping him going, keeping the dream alive.
You can't say that.
In
Can't
28
say
in
that.
2018, you can't
You
say
can't say
Jewish blood.
that.
What's wrong with you?
Can't say that shit.
Man. Yeah, I don't know who I would go with because they both do eccentric, crazy well. I feel like that role Zorg is basically the role that Jeff Goldblum played in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's why I saw that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna double down on Chad here and go with Nicolas Cage. Final answer.
All right. I'm going Bryan
Nicolas
Cranston.
Cage.
I'm just going with Bryan
I'm going
Cranston.
Jeff fucking Goldblum, the god himself. I'm fucking giving it up to the motherfucker. I am happy that he's getting more roles as of late. Like I want to see more Jeff Goldblum, but I want to see him not just do comedy for the rest of his life. I want to see him do like something.
I don't think he's going to because I think he
Outside of
doesn't
it.
care, and he's like in the Samuel L. Jackson thing. I'll just go for a fun paycheck.
I don't
and
know.
that's the
Like I saw an interview.
What about Woody Harrelson?
Woody
show.
Harrelson
Ooh.
for Zorg. I don't know about
Yeah.
Zorg. Maybe he does a special brand of crazy really
He
fucking well.
definitely does a special brand of crazy. He
Matthew
can definitely pull
McConaughey.
it off. So anyway,
Matthew
anywho,
McConaughey's too dry. I don't think he could do
he's
it.
He's drier than a nun's cunt.
All
Yeah,
right,
he's
all
a
right,
little-
all right, all right.
All right.
Mm.
All right, Mr. Black, hit me up with a little tech support.
Tech support.
You didn't even give
That
him
was-
a chance
that
to
was-
like
that
reset
was-
his brain.
that was
He's like, I need a
fucking-
second.
Holy shit, that was as much of a phone in as fucking us saying Chris Tucker comes back to reprise his role as Chris Tucker in The Fifth Fucking Element. It's a phone in. All right, let's see what we got here. Tech support from our wonderful, wonderful Patreons, $10 and higher.
Wait, I got one.
All right, what?
This was from Postal Panda.
Okay,
He couldn't make it, and he couldn't write it in
okay.
because the thing wasn't up.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
He
that's mine.
said,
That's my
"What
bad.
is your favorite LAGTV moment?"
Ooh,
Ever. I already said on the stream. Mine, I mean, there's so many, but one that just came to my mind instantly was when HD StarCraft got on with us, and I was on, and I did a cast with HD StarCraft because I was fanboying a little bit. I was a little nervous, and
He was more
you know,
nervous than we were, for God's sake. That poor
Yeah.
guy trying to keep up with us two crazy fucks.
Yeah. So when I was like, "Yo, HD, hit me with a noise," it went, "Bah!" He was like, perfect. It was perfect.
Mine's
No, I would
the,
say the HD stuff was pretty memorable for me.
Hey Jeff, that blue block is moving.
It is moving.
That is a common one for sure.
Either that or the one where when they figured out that they were building in the wrong base.
Yeah, that was that's a
That's-
classic.
Those two-
Classic.
Those two are my
That's-
favorites.
That's the one that's been paying my bills for a long time. Thank you.
Go back and watch
Episode 8.
those. Yeah, still go back and watch that one.
One day I will. One day when I'm like 40, 50 years old, I'm gonna go back to YouTube and watch. I'm gonna reminisce.
I'm gonna. That's tough. I had a couple of moments where it was just like just laughed until I cried.
I've had a few of
A
those.
few of those, and those are obviously going to be like my favorite moments. As much as we had epic shit happen on LAGTV, laughing is always paramount to basically everything else. So like the moments that always come back in my mind are like trying to get like a decent order to this. Farouche was amazing because we made a
That was
bunch
a
of
good one.
callbacks to that. Jeff's Bane impersonation, but not necessarily the original. It was a couple of videos later.
There was
or like
one
a
that was
month-
Michael Jackson meets
it was
Bane.
Yeah, there was some
meets
fucking
something.
weird mashup that was just so dumb. All of them are like hit me up with that noise parts because those are always like the funniest shit.
Yeah. And it's always improv too.
It's
like
all
people,
improv.
People have like people thought for the longest time that we would come up with these things or like it would be
That was like
no.
seeing a
It was-
name, running
that
with
was
the
it.
fucking thing, and then Jeff would just do some shit as best as he could, and that was it. And so another one of my favorites was Archimedes. I mean that shit.
Yeah, that was a
that
good
shit
one.
was
Yeah.
fucking. That's
I'll
magic.
never mispronounce Archimedes ever again in
Oh
my
my
life.
god, that shit is magic beyond belief.
I love how all of your favorite moments are me.
It's well, like I
being a
said,
moron.
it's the hit me up with that noise shit because it's like for example, who the fuck comes up with Michael Jackson or Bane doing a Michael Jackson impersonation? Like that shit's just that's fucking gold. And the fact that you could already not do a Bane and then try and do Michael Jackson on top of that as Bane was fucking incredible. And like
Yeah.
I remember you tried to do like the he thing as Bane impersonating
bad.
Michael Jackson, and it was just you couldn't even get through it.
But you could kind of see it. You could kind of see where I was going with it, though. There was like,
No,
it was
we
an
couldn't.
attempt.
That was what made it hilarious.
Oh my god! And then, like Archimedes, like that
Yeah.
shit's just good. So
It's good. It's good shit.
Outside
It's
of
good
that, there was I think there were so many like really stupid, crazy moments that happened. Like the probe SCV battle thing was
That's
absolutely
one of my favorites. Yeah.
crazy. Fire to Blaze was absolutely bonkers. Like I don't think I ever saw that many Ultralisks again until it became a meta thing. Like fucking 4 years later.
Planetary Fortods.
Yeah, like just there's
There's a lot of good stuff, man.
so much
so
good
much
shit.
stuff over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the LAGTV Mario Kart where I aged 15 years in the span. Of
I
fucking,
was just trolling you
Oh
for
my
fucking forever.
God, it was bad. So yeah, there you go. That was for Postal Panda, was it?
Yep.
There
The guy that pays her bills. That guy.
Another bill payer. Let's see. Ooh. This could be an interesting one because I don't know how many. Oh, well, I could kind of come up with something. Goose always has such great questions. Welcome back, Goose, by the way. Second month in a row. He's up to $20 now. He's working his way up the ladder.
Goose. Thanks, Goose.
Said, tell us about your most vivid memory of feeling true, guttural, visceral, unmoderated terror or fear. The most scared you've ever been in your life.
Jeez. I haven't really never been super scared. I think like probably the oh man.
I have a couple that aren't really for the podcast, but I have some that are pretty funny.
Well, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, yeah. So remember when those shoes that had the wheels were cool, and they weren't
Yes.
really cool, but people had
Yes.
them.
Yes. The death
Yeah.
machines.
Yeah, death machines. So I was rolling along on my little rolly shoes. I think this was like my freshman year of college or something.
You had
My-
Heelys?
Yeah, because
Oh.
Already.
well, let me
scared.
put it this way, man. I had long walks to my classes and shit, and I didn't want to carry a bike around, so that shit worked.
That's like saying the people with the fucking like footboard things are like a friggin' Segway. Like,
Yeah,
man, it's a
but
long walk. I gotta get on this Segway.
Whatever happened to those little tiny fucking scooters that we used to have? Those little pedal things that used
The
to.
razors.
Yeah. Whatever happened to those?
They took
They
out too
became
many.
out.
They took out too many shins. Mothers everywhere were suing
That
them.
definitely did. Definitely.
So, yeah, my college was literally built into the side of a mountain, so it was great for rolling down to class in the morning. Until one day they had closed a road that I would usually just blaze down super fast. Now, mind you, I hadn't usually gotten into the whole rollerblading thing for a while, so I'm rolling down this road, and all of a sudden I see construction barriers up in front of me. And I look to the right and realize that's a staircase, and I'm not really sure how to stop these wheels very quickly. And then I look to the left and be like, those are cars coming up the road. So I do what any sane American man would do. And
Stop
I
yourself with cars.
Pull out your concealed weapon and just start shooting.
No, man, I doubled down on my stubbornness and I just barrel right into the construction barriers.
Oh God!
It was unfortunately a moment of fear when I'm just like, I have no idea what to do in this situation. I am going to probably, and then I slammed into the barrier.
There's no time to think.
Rip.
You just like going through all that, and all of a sudden you hit the barrier.
According to my friend who was walking down the proper way, he just said, yeah, you literally just hit that like a sack of potatoes and flip right over it.
Oh God! It's funny what you register as fear throughout life, right? So when I was younger, a terrified moment for me was probably the first school dance I ever went to, right? Because you're fucking
Oh.
you don't want to be like a wallflower fuckboy, right? And you're doing everything. Like, honest to God, the first dance I remember going to, it was like a big fucking production. My parents probably thought it was the funniest shit they'd ever seen in their life. It was almost like comedically like a movie where you're You're trying to look your absolute best. You got a haircut before the motherfucker. You're trying to find what clothes you look fresh in. Wear cologne for the first time because you want to smell good. Because you're a teenager or you're like going through puberty. You're gonna smell like Satan's asshole inside of 5 seconds on that dance floor. And so you're going through all this shit, and then you go to that first dance. That shit was legitimately terrifying. From the perspective of not wanting to, like, the fear of looking like an idiot is one of the worst fucking fears. It's like when people don't want to speak in front of a crowd. Most people would rather just off themselves than go speak publicly. It's the weirdest thing in the world. So that I could say without question was definitely one of them. Another one was that grade 9 trip when we were on the ferry that was basically fucking playing wave race, but with a ferry, jumping off fucking waves and shit, and everyone was projectile vomiting all over the ship. So that was pretty bad. 5-hour trip turned into 13 hours of just straight fucking hell. Half a deck was flooded because some asshole decided to leave the door open to the deck. It was absolutely terrible. So that was that was like a. And the only reason I felt fear, and this is a lesson to adults out there, is because about 8 hours in, when shit was getting real, and I looked at my teachers, and my teachers were displaying fear. I went,
then that's when you're like, oh,
now we're fucked. Because up to that point, they had a good face on, and then about into that trip at that point, they weren't having a good face. One of them disappeared entirely. Pretty sure they just in a bathroom the entire time, fucking vomiting. But that was when then it kicked in. I was like, all right, we could die. So, and then we landed, and then the hotel that we were supposed to be staying at, or the motel thing there, like an hour before we got there, police tape everywhere, and like some dude, like hacked up some chick with an axe. Like,
okay, great.
Like inside of an
Canada
hour.
things.
And since there was nowhere else for us to go because we were in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere, Newfoundland, we had to stay there under police protection in the hotel, and it was a 2-story hotel, a little motel. I was not going to call it a hotel. And the bottom floor, all the doors, all the rooms had doors leading out to the outside.
Oh, great.
And so it was a scramble for who ends up on the top floor and the bottom floor, because we're a bunch of friggin' like 13-year-olds going, holy shit, what the fuck?
There's a murderer gonna come in here and cut us up.
So that was, and I was on the bottom floor. So that was another one of those, this is just not my day type of moments.
Adam, look, honestly, with the ratio and the proportions you are, which I assume you probably had all your life from when you popped out to now, the statistical likelihood of you getting hit in a critical organ was very low because you're just all legs. So they could have probably fixed that.
Probably.
With an axe.
Probably with an axe, for sure. So that was crazy. And then they caught the guy an hour after. We watched the news from the hotel motel room on the TV. And it was wild. It was like one of the most surreal experiences I think I've ever had. And he was only like 400 or 500 feet outside of the fucking place where we were. So it was kind of wild. And then the other thing I can think of was moments right before I almost had to fight somebody. So and not somebody I like that was coming after me directly, but it was somebody I was defending somebody. I think it was Brian or some shit at the time, and we were just getting into high school, and one of the Spryfield specials, one of the families,
gotta love those guys.
One of those guys were getting into it. And I stepped in, and I thought to myself, I was like, I'm stepping in because I'm pretty sure just based on size alone, I'm good here. But I hadn't had to like. It was weird. I was scared for 2 reasons. One, I've always had a morbid fear of actually legitimately hurting somebody because my mom instilled that shit in me from when I was younger because I was so much bigger than all the other kids that she overreacted to everything I did so that I wouldn't like be physically like kids roughhousing and play fighting, and mom was like, my child's gonna kill somebody because he's a grown-ass man and everyone else is still fucking 4'8" and Adam's 6'2". So I was like, I always had that fear of that, and at the time I was like all big whatever, and this guy was not a very big guy, and so I had that in my mind. But then the second thing was, if this goes down, I've got a marker on my back, and this guy is part of one of those groups that you don't get away from for like the next 4 fucking years.
You're gonna get yours eventually.
Exactly. So
you're gonna get yours.
thankfully, nothing came out of that. But the fear of those two scenarios: one, literally killing the guy, and two, dealing with the consequences, whether or not that actually happened, was a scary moment for me. So those were my across the spectrum of childhood. In adulthood, adulthood, I'm just white bread. So I don't do anything that scares me.
You brought a couple of memories back for me. Okay, I'll do two. So one of them is kind of on Adam's side, his first one. So I wasn't a school dance. Didn't really care about those. I was good. Losing my virginity. That was a very scary ordeal because I lost my virginity when I was 15. And when I was like 14, 13, no, I wouldn't say 13, but when I was like 14, 15, I talked a good game, right? And I was always sort of a ladies' man. I had like, girls that would gawk over me, and
you even had the email.
Yeah.
And the tacky bracelet.
Exactly, right? So I was known as the ladies' man, right? So, I was good with girls. Like I made out with a lot of girls. I got girls to send me pictures of their titties and, I things like that. Like
what all young men aspire to be.
Yeah, why not? But actually losing my virginity was really, really scary because, okay, for one, my girlfriend at the time, I had only been dating her for like, I don't even know, maybe a month. And I was 15 years old. She wasn't a virgin, and I was. And she was like thirsty, like all the time, right? And
power thirst.
And I was the guy that was happy with, just making out and hanging out and feeling some titties and just kind of like almost getting there, but not quite getting there. I was that kind of guy.
You hadn't experienced blue balls yet, is what you're telling me.
I hadn't experienced blue balls yet, no.
Yeah.
And I actually hadn't experienced blue balls until I was like, fuck. Maybe I was like 23, 24. That's when I first experienced real blue balls. Like I thought before I had experienced blue balls, but that was not blue balls.
It's a bad time.
I actually experienced them. But anyway, that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I remember I was in her neighborhood. I was sitting at the park on the swing set, and I was texting her. This is back when we had like the Razor phones, and I was texting her, and I said, "Hey, I'm at the park. We used to meet up at the park." So we're sitting at the park, and I'm not going to get too much in this detail because you can go to my old Maximus story time about the actual sex. But I was sitting there on the swing, and she came over, and her parents were going to a golf. Some sort of golf banquet or some shit. It was like a driving range and a bar mixed in one. They used to go there all the time. And we were sitting there on the swing set, just swinging away. And it started it started raining. So I knew like this girl was thirsty, right? And I knew that if I was in the house with her alone, that she was gonna want to do some shit, right? And I was scared. Like I wanted to, like I'm a guy and I wanted to. But like I was a guy and no girl at that point had like seen my man part. So I was like, am I adequate enough? Is she gonna like fucking like I didn't know, right? I was watching porn and fucking dudes with fucking 15-inch dicks were like fucking chicks, and I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I don't think I'm small, but I don't know what's going on. Like, I was just
regular guy
myself,
shit
right?
that you question.
Yeah, I was just dealing with dude shit that dudes deal with. Right?
Yeah.
And so it started raining and I was like, fuck. And I knew for sure she was gonna be like, let's go to my house. Lo and behold, she's like, all right, let's go to the house. And so we go to the house and that we started her on the sofa, and she had never seen my dick before. She had never like give me a blowjob or anything. Like it was just never.
Zero.
So
you went 0 to 100.
Went from 0 to 100. I remember laying on her sofa and she was laying there, and then she just started rubbing my dick on like the outside, right? So just like on my pants. I was wearing the old baby blue North Carolina suit.
Oh, fuck off! You did not have those still.
She was rubbing my dick, and I started getting chub, right? And so I was getting excited, but I was happy with the way it was going, right? And then she started like dry humping me and shit, and I'm like, okay, I'm fucking feeling this shit. And then she was like, you want to go into the room? And I was super, super nervous, like. super nervous. So I went into a room, and then the story, the rest is history.
Plays out the way it did.
Couldn't get a full erection. Like, it was fucking. I was putting on condoms backwards and shit at one point. It was fucked up. I was nervous as shit, but I ended up beating it up for a while. But beating it up with like a sloppy fucking, like, with like
not the way you want to beat it up.
The shit that you gotta grab your dick and kind of prop it in there for a little bit and just hope to God.
It's the kind of dick you get when you're going round 2, but you want to do it anyway.
Or like whiskey dick. It's it's a little bit between those.
When Scotty's in the engineering room being like, "You cannot take it."
Yeah,
he's failing.
So anyway, that was that. And then once I had sex, like once I did it, then I was fine. Like, dude, I didn't care at that point. I was like, fuck it. And I only had sex with her the one time. That was it. I couldn't even, that was it. Like, she got like the worst version of me ever. But beyond that, at that point, like once it was done, it was like this big buildup where it's like, I was 14, 15 years old, and I was watching a ton of porn, and I was trying to figure, like, I didn't know if I was going to do this right. I didn't know what she was thinking. And that was that. And that was scary. That was really, really scary. So that's like one funny scary.
For sure.
The other scary, what was your last story about? Because it reminded me of something else that was scary.
The axe murderer.
Axe murderer.
Was that the last one? No, it was the fight. It was the fight.
Yeah, fight.
Oh, the fight. Oh, yes. Thank you. So, in high school, okay, so I was sort of the same sort of thing where I was a popular guy amongst the not popular people. I was never in the circle. Like I was never in the hood rat circle. I was never in like the popular kid circle. I was in the circle of rejects, or like the circle of nerds.
You were the Microsoft Zune of MP3 players.
There you go. I was that guy, right? I was the Napster before LimeWire or whatever, right? So I was that guy. So I had a lot of friends, and I was respected, and I was feared by certain people. But then there was like another ladder of assholes and fucking hood rats, and probably the same type of people that were fucking with you. So I remember one time in particular, and I was never much of a fighter. Okay, I fought a handful of times in my life, and I was never a guy that walked around and act tough. I was a guy I was more of an instigator, but I was more of a class clown. So I was like the dude that would just kind of poke fun, and that was that. I wasn't the guy that would like say, meet me at the fucking flagpole at 3:30 and let's throw down. I wasn't that guy. It never really came to that. But one time in particular, I was on lunch break, and I was with me, and I remember Ahmed was there, Savory was there, a bunch of guys that would actually fight and throw down for your boys. Like I had certain guys that were like, okay, if we had to fight somebody, we would fight somebody for each other. But there was it was like a small circle, like you standing up for your boy, right? It was like it's one of those friends. So this was like when we started doing rap battles and shit, and we were doing rap stuff.
So you got to be hard as nails.
Yeah. So anyway, there was a group over in Sackville, right? They went to like Sackville High and shit, like bunch of Sacktown fuckboys, and we were Spryfield fuckboys, right? So it's just like fuckboys versus fuckboys, right?
It's bad.
So there was these Sackville guys, and we were talking shit to each other about battle rapping. And we're like, dude, we'll fuck you up in the track, blah. And then one of those little shit stains was like, we'll fuck you up in real life, bitch. And I was like, fuck you. Like, meet us somewhere after school then, right? And he called my bluff. He was like, fuck yeah, then let's go, bitch. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay. So that didn't go the way I thought. And of course, my boys were all gassed up. They're like, yeah, man, fuck. We'll fuck up these and like, a couple of the guys there, they didn't give a fuck. They'd throw down for whatever, right? They didn't care. Like, they didn't give a shit.
Nothing to lose.
So I was like, all right, we'll go there after school. So we made a huge error. Okay. So after school, we went to the hood. We went to the hood rats, the top hood rats of JL, right? And we said, there's these guys from Sackville that's talking shit on us on our school, right? And we're like, you want to come fuck up these guys with us? So we told the big heads that you don't want to mix, like you don't even want to be in the same conversation. Like people in real life that are doing some fucking shady shit, and you just decide not to engage in conversation with them. You just go along with your life. They leave you alone. You leave them alone. they're fighting their war and you're just kind of talking about their war that they're fighting behind closed doors and you don't go near it. Well, we fucked up and we invited those people. So, of course, what they said is they're like, oh, fuck yeah, we're going to fuck these guys up, right? We're like, yeah, I'm getting all gassed up. So I get in my Civic, an old 91 Civic, and our car is filled. And we meet them out. They meet us halfway. I remember this, right out in Clayton Park, actually not far from where I used to live on Parkland. So there was a school up that way on one of the side streets. So we get there. I show up my Civic, and then the one of the guys, I don't want to name drop anything, but one of the guys, one of the tough kids, shows up with a group full of guys, and one's got a baseball bat. Like, these guys you could smell weed coming out the car. Like, these guys are like ready to fuck shit up, right? And I get out of the car, they get out of the car, and they're like, where are they? They said they're gonna meet us at the playground. So we go over to the playground. It's like this little play area, and we're all just kind of standing there waiting for 5 minutes or whatever. So at this point, I realize that these fuckers are not going to show. And I text the guy that was supposed to meet us down there to fight. And I said, where are you at? We're fucking here and we got our crew. Like, let's go before the cops show up and shit. And he said, fuck you. You guys wasted your time and blah, blah, blah. Basically punked us. Like, was a no-show. So I went and told sort of the pack leader of this group, the other car, that they're a no-show, guys. Like, they fucking squealed on us. So that did not sit well with them, right? And the only thing that I remember him saying, and I wasn't even thinking about this at the time, right? The only thing that came out of his mouth was, well, somebody's got to get fucked up, right? And I was like, and I didn't think about it, but then Ahmed goes, we should leave, right? And I could tell that these guys wanted to fight. Like, they were like, somebody's getting fucked up, and they didn't show up to get fucked up. So guess what? I'm looking around, and the only other people that are getting fucked up right now are you guys. We literally ran to my car and beelined it out. I remember looking to the right. Those guys started running into their car and started speeding up after us. They chased us all the way back into Spryfield. And at the time, there was an old chicken burger.
To put that into perspective, that's like a 25-minute drive.
20 minutes.
Wow.
20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. So I'm literally speeding through the city trying to lose these guys. And I know that I'm gonna have to face them at school. I'm fucked either way. So I remember getting to the chicken burger, which is now the Shoppers, where Brian's mom works. So at the time, it was Old Chicken Burger, but it was shut down. It just shut down, and or like an Old Harvey's or whatever. It is shut down, and I sped in there because I lost them. Finally lost them. Parked in the back. Ahmed gets out. Savory gets out. The boys get out, and they start walking back up towards Cowie Hill. And all of a sudden, I see Dude Civic come flying around the corner. He gets out. And he says, somebody's getting fucked up. Again, I'm like, dude, I didn't do anything, right? At this point, my heart's pounding. I'm scared because now he's got my car blocked. I can't get out. I'm already outside of my car. A couple of my boys are already halfway up the street, right? He said, well, we're fighting somebody, right? And he said, who's the one that told us about it? And it was actually Ahmed who told this guy about this fight. So he said, somebody's getting fucked up. And he said, the person who told me about this is going to fight me, right? And I'm like, fuck. And so he's like, you better call Ahmed and tell him to get down here. So anyway, I text Ahmed and I said, yo, Ahmed, like, this guy, won't say his name, but this guy wants to fight you because you told him about this. I know it's not fair. Ahmed was a fucking trooper. He's like, yeah, man, I'll come down and I'll fight him. So Ahmed comes down, and God bless Ahmed, because these guys look like they wanted to fucking kill somebody.
He's good. Right? He's good. He was a good dude. A little misguided, but a fucking good dude.
He's a good fucking dude. So he comes up, and the guy that was talking about wanting to fuck somebody up, he didn't even do the fighting. There was another guy behind him who's an even scarier dude, right? That was like, let me fight him. So they square up, right? And Ahmed doesn't want to fight him. So Ahmed has his glasses on, and this dude stand in front of Ahmed is like, take your glasses off or they're going to get smashed, right? He basically told him, like, take your glasses off. And Ahmed, that was like the last hurdle before this fight gets started. He was holding on to it for dear life. He was like, man, I don't want to fight. Like, I'm sorry. And he kept saying, like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. And he's like, dude, take off your glasses or I'm going to sucker you. Right. So he took off his glasses and Ahmed put his hands up. And Ahmed didn't even throw a punch. Dude fucking clocked him, just fucking laid him right on the pavement. And I'm like, fuck, right? So anyway, the other dude that was talking shit says, now it's your turn. He looked at me and I'm like, bro, I didn't fucking do nothing. I'm like, these guys didn't show up. So I beeline it. I fucking jump into my car. I drive over a curb because the guy's like blocking my way. And I just remember driving down Heron Cove, flying down, and they started throwing rocks in my car in the middle of traffic. And there's a bunch of fucking cars out there. Ends up hitting the back of my car. And I go home. All right. And there's still like two of us in the car. I run home. I get inside. I'm all out of breath. My mom, like moms know when shit is going down. I don't know how it is, but moms just know. Moms just know. So my mom goes, what the fuck is going on here? And I basically just fessed up. I said, this is what happened today. This guy wants to fucking beat me up. He's twice my size. He was like a senior in fucking high school. I was grade 10. I didn't want to fight this dude. And same with you. Like, this guy is bad news. Like, this is the type of dude that I don't know where he is today, but it's probably either in prison or he's out fucking snorting cocaine in Calgary somewhere on a fucking oil rig. I have no idea. All right. But this is just a guy you don't want to fuck around with. So I was like, Mom, this is not good for me. Like, I was basically like, I'm going to have to face this guy tomorrow. So anyway, he gets on MSN Messenger and messages me. He adds me on MSN. I'm like, fuck, man.
Shout out to MSN Messenger, by the way.
I add him.
Oh my God.
And he goes, I said, dude, like, I don't want no trouble. He said, listen, there's a way that you get out of this. And I was like, okay, what is it? He's like, you got to pay me my gas money that I used to get over to where we were to fight and back. And I said, well, how much is that? And he said, $20 will cover it. My mom literally gave me $20 and drove me to his house. My mom drove me to his house. My mom got out of the car, I'm like, Mom, please don't come up to the door. Like, this is already embarrassing enough. Like, I'm fucking like 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm bitching out here. I'm fucking paying a dude off, basically not to smash my face in. So I get up, and put it in a little envelope, right? and I go up to the door. I knock on the door. He answers the door, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm probably have to fight this guy right now. I'm gonna get beat up and jumped or whatever. No, he opens the door. He says, "You got my money?" I said, "Yeah." I gave him the money. Boom. He never spoke of it again. Never caused any trouble with me ever. And that was the show. Basically, paid off a guy $20 to not beat me up. Essentially,
you paid him gas money.
I paid him gas money, and he said that's what it was all about. I'm like, okay, if that's and my mom will probably remember the story too.
That's the most Canadian ass end to a fucking crazy situation.
Yeah,
because you gotta understand. All right, look, you gotta understand is that where Jeff and I went to school, there are or were at the time, less now, two warring families that have been going at it now for about 3 generations, and they're both families involved in some shady shit. And then there are some peripheral people that are associated with them, also obviously involved in some shady shit, and they start young, and they learn young or they decide young that they have nothing to lose. So all of them are or were.
They're bad news.
They're more likely.
It's
more likely that there's a high probability chance if you tangle up with them. Like, let's say, for example, that Ahmed, when he comes back to fight this guy, and Ahmed was a pretty big dude to begin with. He was. He's not a small guy. He just didn't have any fighting skill to save his life, obviously, because the dude just laid his ass out. Look, the reality there is, if the tables had turned, and for whatever reason, Ahmed managed to win that fight.
Oh, there was no winning it. You have to lose that fight. You have to lose that fight.
in
You
a
have
much
to.
in a much worse way, because they're the type of people now that they're just gonna come and they're just gonna fucking break your kneecaps and shit. Like you're in a bad
You
place.
better if you're not knocked out, you better act knocked out.
You
Like,
better
take a shot
yeah.
and act like it fucked you up.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they're gonna let it go.
You gotta
That's
take
it.
you gotta take a fall.
You cannot best one of those guys because they're coming back for you. Like they're coming back for you. It's not gonna be good. They're gonna that's not gonna be good.
There's no win in that situation.
That was the group of people that I was dealing with, and it was our fault for some reason wanting to bring them in on this because we knew that they were the tough guys, and we were new to high school. Like we didn't fucking get it. Like we just didn't, but we learned real quick. We fucking learned. So shout outs to Ahmed for taking one for the team, and shout outs to my mom for giving me $20 so that I didn't get my ass beat.
Yeah, like
and I was very scared. So yeah, I was very, very scared.
Somebody said
Very
pepper.
scared.
Somebody said pepper spray. Let me tell you the ways that probably the only things that you could have chosen to do worse than physically try and win that fight would be use pepper spray or a taser or anything else, because you're going to get it worse. It's whatever you do, you're going to get it worse. So if you pepper sprayed a motherfucker, you just. Yeah. And to put this in perspective, nobody with the people that we went to school with, nobody was using pepper spray. It was in vogue to use bear spray.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So if the standard was bear spray, like, what's up from that other than just getting shot? Really, at that point. So you just didn't. You just took you took your lumps like a med. You went there like a champion, and you just fucking take
Ahmed,
it.
you know what? Shout outs to Ahmed because he literally owned up to it. Like he was like, dude, I told him about this, and it wasn't even like I had to have it. He was in the clear, dude. He was already on his way home. There was no way they're gonna. And he when I told him, like, you know, this dude wants to fight you because you told him about it, he said, yeah, man, I'll be right back. And he walked right, like you could see him walking down the street. And my buddy Matt was walking with him, and I'm like, oh fuck. And he did not say, bro, I can't go down there. He didn't say nothing. He didn't fucking say, he didn't hum and haw. He didn't say, put him on the phone. He just said, all right. And he went down there and he fucking squared up like a G. Like a fucking G, man.
Fucking hero.
He's fucking G, man.
He's the fucking
like, you
hero.
know, like I didn't appreciate that so much until I just told the story again. Because when you're fucking 15, 16, and he was younger than me. He's like a year younger than me.
Yeah.
When you're 15 years old and you're fighting one of the most feared guys, like the scrapper of the school, and you're fucking taking one for your boys, you're the fucking man, bro. You're the fucking man. You did not what any of us were willing to do. You took your lumps for your boys. You owned up to what you did, and you lived to fight another day. You know what I mean? It's inspiring.
I'm actually surprised that he got away with what he did.
Yeah, he just got punched. He got punched out and went down, and then, you know, stumbled back up, and he had a bloody nose and walked home. That was it. He didn't mouth off nothing, and then I ran like a bitch.
And then you paid up in other ways.
And then I fucking paid up with my wallet.
But it just goes to show how silly, as crazy as those situations could be, how silly that shit all is. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about a situation where a guy was so angry he wanted to straight lay people out and do damage. But then after some cool down time, decided that $20 in gas money was cool.
Was cool enough. $20 gas money. That was it. I thought for sure when he had me on MSN, it was it. Like, he's like, you're going to fucking get it after school tomorrow. Like, I'm going to see you. Like, you're fucked. But nah, he was like $20. And I was like, done. I was in his house within 10 minutes. And he didn't even live far. He was like fucking 4 streets up. And that was the show. Paid him off. And it's funny too. Whenever I drive down that street, I always like think of that. Always. Whenever I see that house, I always think like, fuck, that's where I bitched out and paid off a guy not to beat me up.
That's where I kept my face bones where they needed to be.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Last question. We'll wrap it up. Like a trailer truck. Where was the question? I had it here, and it was gone. Oh. Corey. $160 lifetime support. Let's go. Said, who is your favorite actor and or actress, and what is the favorite role that they played? I choose this for you guys because you're gonna have a better chance. I'm gonna try and think, but I'm one of those guys that I don't have like a specific actor. There are people that did roles and I just like that thing. I have actors I like, but I don't know if I have like a favorite.
Yeah.
Oh
Man.
hard to narrow it down because we watched so many movies.
Yeah.
And Jeff's Denzel's pretty close.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna stick with Denzel, although he's probably not my favorite now. But I'll say Denzel, and
Rip me off.
my favorite movie that he was in. I really like John Q, and I like Training Day. So I'm gonna cheat and say 2. So those 2. But yeah, he's probably not my favorite actor now, but I still love him. Like I'll still go and see what everything that he puts out. But I guess like all time, I'll stick with Denzel.
It's a hard one for all time. I'm just gonna go with Keanu and John Wick just because of his work ethic. Like the dude puts in work. Like again, his acting is not anything incredible, but I enjoy his movies. Like that's where I'm going with
It's
my
not a
head
bad
right
choice.
now.
It's not a bad choice.
He just goes all in.
Adam?
I'm thinking. I mean,
3 seconds on the clock.
I'm going with Robin Williams.
Oh.
Good choice.
And I don't know which role I liked of his the best. I mean, Good Will Hunting is in my top 3 movies of all time, but I don't know if that's my favorite role that he did, but I'm sure it would be awfully fucking close regardless. Yeah. I think I have to go with Robin Williams. I don't know of any other person that was so good at pulling off the crazy range of comedy and kind of serious acting that he did. There are people that do a pretty good job, but I think he did it better than anyone else. And there was something about I still think like he drew from his life for both his humor and for his serious roles in a way that just translated to screen. Yeah, like there's nobody, like there's not another Robin Williams. Like you can't just pull that shit out and be like, this person is like Robin Williams. He was his own person for sure. I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'll have to go with that, I think. And then the more I've seen him in Leonardo DiCaprio, as much as I don't want to say Leonardo DiCaprio because I feel like it's like it's not a cop out, but it's kind of like saying that Samsung is your favorite TV manufacturer. It's like everyone likes Samsung, everyone like iPhone,
good,
everyone he's just fucking
Leonardo
good.
DiCaprio and Django Unchained is probably my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio I've ever seen.
That's a crazy good Leonardo DiCaprio.
So fucking good.
Actually, I'm gonna amend it. Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, that's good too.
For
That's
Tom
really
Cruise,
good,
it's
too.
Last Samurai for me is my favorite.
And
Because
that movie is always going to be Edge of Tomorrow. It's not going to be Live, Die, Repeat.
Edge of Tomorrow forever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there it is. We're at
is.
3 hours. That's the show. I am tired.
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet, so I'm going to go
I gotta eat.
and get some food and edit this podcast and turn my air conditioner on before I die of heat stroke. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much as always. You have been a pleasure. I'm going to eventually get up to this dated end screen. I'm not even going to, at this point, it's a fucking meme that I haven't updated. I'm just going to say it's never getting updated again. These are the names that are there. I'm going to put this on a poster. Put it up behind me in my office. But let me get the updated list here that I wish the website could update properly, but that's 100% on Patreon for wanting me to refresh that token every fucking 5 minutes. It's so dumb. Here we go. Here we go. So shoutouts, as always, Jetrix for his $8.5 million contribution. Postal Panda not far behind with 8.6. Yes, I know that's more. That was the joke. I'm sorry, I'm hungry and tired. Matt Miller, Chico Martin, Black Jimmy, Toad of Steel, Jorbach, Jamaican Jazz, Adam Barlow, Derek Payne, as well as the old guards like Mr. Miyagi and Soft Shoe and Will and several others like Klaus. There's just so many people. Hunter, Nikki, and Saren. Just we have like approaching 10 to or approaching 20 people that are in like the 300 plus range. It's just shit is very real. So thank you all. You guys are amazing. As always, we'll see you guys next week for another Technical Alpha. Same time as always. And until we see you, stop on by technicalalpha.audio or Technical Alpha's Patreon, patreon.com/technicalalpha if you want to join in on the madness. And yeah, until next week, have a good one. Peace.
Peace.